Greetings, traveler. I am Akira, a representative of the Twilight Society and the curator of these tales. Today, we will embark on a journey which didn't ask for this part too. As always, if you want to support the creator of these works, their Patreon and story link will be in the description. Now, without further ado, buckle up and enjoy the story.
Chapter 21. Why did this happen? I give up, Owen muttered dejectedly. So this magic is considered high level to them. I'll be careful next time, I thought. After some time they recovered from their shock and we started walking again. After an hour we reached the exit of the Great Devil's Nest. There was only a green landscape as far as you can see. I saw a carriage in a distance that was waiting there with some guards. Then I'll go back, I said as I looked at them. Yuya-sama, are you not coming with us? Lexia said with a sad look. Yes, the king would also like to meet you because you helped Princess Lexia. The king dotes on Lexia-sama a lot. He would surely give you a huge reward, Owen said. There is no need for that, I said with my blank face. Can I meet you again, Yuya-sama? Lexia said with anticipation in her eyes. I do need to know more about this world as I am currently weak, so there might be hidden dangers in the world, and being connected to the royal family in medieval times will make things easier. Just because the humans I meet are weak doesn't mean that every human is weak, or there aren't any stronger creatures here. There is a half-high elf standing in front of me at the moment. Even though she can't control her magic, she still has potential. I thought as I organized the information I got today. I will come here in a week early in the morning, so wait here for me and don't roam inside the forest. Then I will go now, I said as I turned around and walked inside the forest again. Bye, Yuya-sama. I heard Lexia's loud voice as she waved. Half-high elves are always too energetic, I thought. Right, Eleanor, I muttered as I remembered the bubbly high elf queen that I have met before in my journey. Sigh asterisk. I walked back inside the forest after sighing heavily. I looked at the decreasing sunlight in the already dim forest and walked towards my cabin in the woods. After some time I sensed a presence, so I went to check it. And I saw a ram with snow-white wool that looked overgrown with long round horns was started from its temple and growing to the sides in a circle. It looked more like a fur ball than a ram. It was eating grass alone without a care about anything else. I appraised it as it wasn't able to sense me. Dream Ram. Level 300. Magic, 1000. Attack 1000. Defense, 4000. Agility, 3000. Intelligence, 1000. Luck, 2000. It is weak, but it has a strong mental attack. If it was someone else they would have been fallen asleep at this point. I thought as I felt the metal waves the seemingly harmless ram was emitting. I vanished from my place and appeared on the right side of the ram and pierced its neck in one thrust, lopping its head off. Level up. I've heard this voice too many times today, but I ignored it and looked at the ram that has turned into particles of light, then turned into drops. Magic Stone, Rank B. Bed of Dreams, a bed made from the soft wool of the dream ram, a product that even the royalty will carve for. If you sleep on it, all of your fatigue will vanish when you wake up, and you will never have any nightmares as long as you sleep on it. It has an auto-clean function, so no need to clean it or change the bedsheet. The bed, which looked like it was really expensive, it looked like it was made in a Victorian style with a canopy on it. This is quite useful. I wanted to buy a bed anyway, I thought as I placed this bed and magic stone in my inventory. I then walked towards my cabin again and reached it in half an hour. I walked inside the barrier and collected all the vegetables and recovery herbs as well. This is going to be useful. Why would I go out to buy vegetables when I have so many at home? I thought as I walked inside the cabin and walked through the door. Would you like to convert Magic Stone, Rank B, X3, Magic Stone, Rank C, X12 into cash? 1 Rank B equals 1 million yen. 1 Rank C equals 500,000 yen. A message like this appeared in front of my vision, so I cashed these in and obtained 9 million yen that I threw inside the item box. After that I arrived in the secret room. I changed out of my armor and wore a plain loose full-sleeved black t-shirt with black sweatpants. I sensed Grafia was standing outside the door to the secret room. Did she not rest even after I told her to? I muttered as I walked towards the door and opened it and walked out. Grafia, why aren't you Riha? My words stopped in my throat as I saw Grafia, who was in her panties, which were purple with black flowers on them, with a bra with the same design in her hands. Huh! Master. Grafia was stunned as her face flushed. She looked at me with wide eyes as she covered her exposed breasts with her hands as she dropped the bra in her hands. "Sorry, I didn't know you were taking a bath," I said as I bowed my head to her as I noticed her hair was wet and not in her usual braids. It is my fault to rush into the room, so can't say anything, and this teenage body isn't helping me either. "Master, are you alright?" Graphia, who was shy just a second ago, ran up to me and slipped on the wet surface and fell towards me. "Hey, are you serious? How can you slip?" I thought as her body crashed into me, and my body subconsciously hugged her naked body as her boobs were crushed on my chest. Her hands wrapped around my waist to support herself as well. Her body is so soft, and we're not the time to be thinking about that, I thought as I tried to calm down the abomination called hormones. "Master, what happened to you?" Graphia said as she cupped my face in her hands and looked at me with worried eyes. It would have been okay if she wasn't naked at the moment, as I looked down, accidentally looking at her snow-white skin and her big breasts that I could feel on my chest because of my thin t-shirt, and her beautiful face and red eyes that contained concern for me. Gulp asterisk. Damn this teenage body, I thought as I felt my blood rush down to my lower body and a bulge appear on my sweatpants. My hard member poked at Graphia's stomach, and my face heated up a little. Why did this happen? I thought in my head as I saw Graphia looking at my face with surprise in her eyes. With her hands around me and my hands around her slim waist, she looked at my face for a bit, then noticed my member poking at her stomach. She looked down as smoke came out of her head. "We will talk about it later, get dressed first," I spoke as I calmed down a little and took out a big towel from my item box to cover her upper body, and removed my hands from her waist. Certainly, master," Graphia said as she stuttered as she turned around with her back facing me. That seriously didn't help either, as I saw her sliver hair that reached till her round buttocks and her supple thighs. It was better for me to leave quickly, as my body was starting to heat up because of her. "I'll wait for you in the living room," I said as I walked towards the door. "Why, yes," Graphia answered in a small voice as I walked out of the bathroom and into the corridor. Slap asterisk. Few asterisk. I slapped my cheeks with my hands to calm myself down. I should have checked before I entered, I thought as I sat down on the sofa. My body and mind were in a mess because of what happened just now. How pathetic for me to act like that, I muttered as I closed my eyes to calm myself as I sat down on the sofa. As my body calmed down, so did my mind. I waited for Graphia to come as I opened my eyes. Chapter 22, Green Light? After 5 minutes she came into the room with a calm look on her face, but with a little blush, while wearing a beige one-piece dress that reached her knees with a wide neck that showed her cleavage a bit, and white stocking on her legs. She came and stood in front of me with her head down. "I'm sorry, master," she said as she bowed. "It isn't your fault. I shouldn't have walked in without checking. I thought that you weren't resting even after I told you to," I said as she looked up with a stunned look. Was master worried about me?" she asked me as she looked away a bit shyly. "You can say that," I said as I nodded, and a soft smile appeared on her lips. "And I am sorry for what happened," I said as I stood up and bowed again. "Master, please don't apologize for that. It's all right," Graphia said hurriedly. "Even if you say so, I did look at you naked and I touched you as well, so I do feel guilty about it," I said as I looked at her. "And no, please don't. You are my master's, so even if master touched me I won't mind. What am I saying? PP please forget what I said." Graphia spoke in a low voice but panicked at the end. "What is happening today? Did she just give me a green light?" I thought as my head started hurting because of what Graphia said. I looked at the fidgeting silver-haired beauty in front of me and sighed deeply. "Okay, calm down, and tell me what you were so worried about. Why did you ask me if something happened to me?" I said as I sat down on the sofa after I shook my head. Yes, master, did something happen to you? Why did master's soul become weaker?" Her shyness went out the window, as she kneeled in front of me with concern in her big red eyes. "My soul has gotten weaker? I certainly didn't feel anything like that." I was thinking as I looked at her. I may not be the best in soul magic, but I am aware of many things. "Nothing happened to me, so don't worry about me," I said in my usual tone as I waved my hand. "Master, if it is something I can help with, please tell me," Graphia said as she held my hand, which stunned me a bit. I looked at her, who was looking down as her shoulders trembled a bit. Does she really worry about me that much? How long has it been that someone has been worried about me? I thought as I looked at her. "Don't worry about it, I am fine," I said to her as I patted her head lightly with a slight smile, and she looked up at my face with a surprised look as her face reddened. What happened? I tilted my head as I asked her in my monotonous tone. And nothing, Master, but please tell me if I can help you something. It doesn't matter what it is, Graphia said with a little blush as she stood up. I'll keep it in mind, I said as I appraised her status, which I didn't pay attention to before, and it appeared before me. Graphia Lucifuge. Race, Devil. Occupation, Maid. Level, 870. Magic, 15,700. Attack, 8,700. Defense, 12,100. Agility, 8,700. Intelligence, 12,700. Luck, 10,700. BP 0. Skills: Ice Magic 9, Elemental Magic 7, Magic Resistance 9, Cooking Max, Household Chores 9, Sewing Max, Emotion Sensing 9, Immense Demonic Power, Enhanced Offense and Defense, Enhanced Magic Power, Enhanced Speed, Flight, Tea Making 9, Baking 9. Titles: The Best Maid, Former Heiress of the Lucifuge Clan, Cold Heart, Devoted Maid, Ultimate Class Devil, Satan, Otherworldly Person, Master Cook, Master Baker. The Best Maid? I appraised the title and it appeared in front of me. The Best Maid: she is the best maid by me. What does this even mean? I shook my head and looked at the other title that caught my eye. The appraised her, Cold Heart title. Cold Heart, a title for those with the frozen heart that enhances their ice magic by 1 level and doubles their magic spell's destructive power. Anyone the title holder deems as a threat will be frozen alive when they come near the title holder. This will not affect those the title holder cares for deeply, though magic resistance can counterattack the effects. But still, a layer of frost will appear on the opponent. This title is really something, care for deeply. So does that mean? I thought as I remembered what happened in the bathroom. There certainly wasn't any sign of her magic activating in her words before. I shook my head as I looked at Graphia, who was still kneeling in front of me. Looks like she became stronger after she came here. She was a Satan class in the novel, but that was when she was like 600 years old, not at this time, so all I can think of is she got stronger after she came here. And Master, is something wrong? Graphia said while blushing a bit. Then I remembered that I was staring at her this whole time. No, I just wanted to ask if you feel any changes in your body after you came here, I asked her. Yes, Master, my magic has almost doubled with my body got stronger as well. I wanted to ask Master, but Graphia said as she stood up and blushed again. Okay, then it was because you passed through that door, I said, and she nodded. I'm feeling hungry, I thought as I was about to stand up. Master, wait, let me get the dinner for you, Graphia said as she went out of the room in her elegant gait. How did she know I was hungry? I muttered as I sat down and picked up my laptop to upload the 2 chapters one wrote before. Okay, now this is done, I'll check the responses in the morning, I thought as I placed my laptop down and Graphia walked in. Master, the food is ready, she said with a smile, and I stood then followed her to the kitchen to see a sizzling steak on the plate with mashed potatoes and a salad. Please eat it before it gets cold, Master, Graphia said, and I sat down on the seat she pulled for me. Then she placed a napkin on my lap. Thank you, I said as I looked at her. It's my duty. Then she walked back into the kitchen and came back with a glass of grape juice. Please, she said as she placed it beside my plate. I nodded and started eating, finishing the food slowly. If you are going to ask me about the taste, then it was good. I stood up after eating and Graphia came near me. She took the napkin and wiped my mouth. There was some sauce on your lips, Master, Graphia said as she maintained her maid-like demeanor. Okay, thank you, I said as I walked towards the kitchen sink to wash my hands, and Graphia cleaned up the table. Are you not going to eat? I asked her in my usual tone after I washed my hands, and she handed me a towel to wipe my hands. I will after Master goes to sleep, Graphia answered as she bowed a little. Eat it now and eat with me from now on, I told her. But, she was about to say her reason, but, just listen to me, and eat with me from tomorrow, I said with a slight smile, and she nodded in a daze. Then come to the living room after you eat, I have to talk to you, I said with my monotonous tone. She nodded still in a daze as I shook my head and walked towards the living room. Ring asterisk. The notification sound rang and I picked up my phone from the table. I looked at my phone as I sat down on the sofa. Marin Yuyaku and I will be coming over tomorrow. It was Marin's text. You, why? Marin, Yuyukun is so cruel. Sad cat emoji asterisk. You. Marin. Okay, I am coming over to go shopping for the materials we are going to need for the clothes. Seriously Yuyukun, you are no fun. You, okay, at what time are you going to come? Marin, I am totes getting ignored, but I'll come around 4 p.m. so don't go anywhere, okay? You, okay. Marin, then I'm going to sleep, bye Yuyukun. You, bye. I placed my phone back on the table and picked up the laptop to write some more chapters for the novel. And after 5 minutes Grafia came out and stood beside the sofa silently after she placed a cup of tea in front of me. I placed my laptop back on the table and looked at Grafia, who was looking at me as well. Chapter 23, Joke? I took out the black moon necklace and showed it to her. What do you think of this? I asked her. Is it a magical artifact? She looked at the necklace as she said, It is a gift from me, what do you think? I nodded and asked her in my monotone voice. It is certainly really beautiful, though I am not sure as to why Master would give me this. Grafia said as she tried to maintain her composure, but her face was a bit red. I thought it would suit you, I said to her, and she looked at me then nodded softly. Turn around, then I'll help you wear it, I said, and she nodded and turned around. I stood up behind her, and she moved her silver hair out of the way and showed me her white nape, and I helped her wear the necklace. As I went near her and saw her ears were red, I moved back after I helped her and looked at her as she turned around. What do you think, Master? Grafia said shyly as she placed her hand on the necklace, caressing lightly. It looks good on you, I said, and Grafia smiled sweetly. I sat down on the sofa and Grafia stood beside me with a slight smile on her face. I appraised the necklace once more. Black moon necklace, rare drop from hell slimes. It can increase various stats if worn at night. It also collects sunlight and converts it into magic power, and constantly restores the wearer's magic power. Contractor, Grafia Lucifuge. So it did change the owner if I give it to someone. That is good, as I won't be using everything that I find. Or the items will only rot in my inventory. And Grafia, have you been learning about the technology of this world? I asked her. Yes, Master, I started it from the night I was summoned. Even though I haven't been able to learn much, it is still enough for me to live here normally, Grafia said. That is good, but don't overwork yourself, alright? I said as I picked up my laptop and started using it. It is bothersome to use this one should I build a hologram computer. I thought as worked on the laptop I have. I was a computer geek when I was a child, although I only immersed myself in it to forget about that day, but I started to like it the more I studied. Sigh asterisk. I sighed heavily. Master, is everything alright? Grafia asked me suddenly. It is alright, why are you asking me this? I looked at her and asked in my usual tone. Master, are you missing someone? Grafia asked softly. You can say that. How did you know? I raised my brow and looked back at the laptop. I just felt it. I must have overstepped my boundaries, sorry, she said as she apologized. It is okay, don't mind it, I said without looking at her. I was thinking about my family, so this is her emotion sensing skill. I thought as I uploaded 5 more chapters and saw some of the responses to the earlier 2 chapters. The reaction wasn't that crazy at the moment as the story hasn't started properly yet. But there were almost 20,000 views, which showed how hungry the market was for a good story. The real reaction is going to be tomorrow morning because the plot has moved a lot in the 5 chapters that I uploaded. I am really tempted to build an AI and a hologram computer just for my personal use, but that will have to wait after I get my bank card and make money from the novel to cover up the real money which I have, because it will cost me a lot of money to buy stuff that I will need, and I don't want to go around buying stuff with cash. After 30 minutes I placed my laptop back on the table and leaned back on the sofa. Master, will there be a chance for me to go back to my old world? Grafia suddenly asked. I am not sure. You can maybe in the future, I said in my flat tone, and saw her nod as her mood damped a bit. It was so little that no one else will be able to tell. What do you want to do in your world? I asked her. I wanted to visit my parents' grave at least once, she said as sadness reflected in her red eyes. But I don't want to go to your world, I said. Why, Master? Grafia asked as she tilted her head, looking confused. The fate of your world is rested on a boy who shouts boobs, and I want to be a harem king every 3 minutes. So I'd rather stay away from such a world, I answered in my monotonous voice. And no way, right, Master? Please don't joke with me, Grafia said with a forced smile. I didn't say anything and looked at her. Is my world going to all right? Grafia said as she looked like she will pass out any second. Who knows? Do you have someone there that you care about? I asked, as even though it worked out in the novel, there is no guarantee that it will in the real world. I do have my brother and a friend there, Grafia said in a sad tone as some tears formed in her eyes. I stood up and looked at her. We'll see if we have a chance in the future. But don't expect much, I told her in my flat tone. Master, you are really bad at consoling people, Grafia said with a slight smile as she wiped her tears. You aren't wrong about that. I'll go and take a shower then, I said as I walked out of the room, as she nodded and didn't follow me. After Yuya left to take a shower, Grafia stood in the living room and waited for her master to come back while thinking about his words. I shouldn't be tied down to my previous world as I am master's maid. I'll perform my duty properly and not burden him with my worries, Grafia muttered as she touched the necklace Yuya gave her. But what happened to master for him to become like this? There are almost no emotions in his heart, Grafia thought as her mood became down. It is my duty as a maid to make sure my master is happy. But I don't even know what caused it. Although master smiled a little. Grafia's face reddened as she remembered Yuya's slight smile, and she touched her head where he lightly patted her. She then closed her eyes and stood silently thinking about what happened before playing the scene in her head. After 10 minutes, Yuya came back to the room and Grafia looked towards him. He was wearing a purple t-shirt with black sweatpants as he wiped his head with a towel, his face which was emotionless as always with empty eyes. You didn't go to sleep? Yuya asked her in his flat tone. I thought that master would be tired, so I wanted to give master a massage, Grafia said as she maintained her composure. Now that you say, my body is a little stiff, so I would appreciate it, Yuya said as he moved his shoulder a bit stiffly. No need to, master, you can ask me for it any time you want, Grafia said as she bowed a little. Yuya nodded as he finished wiping his face with the towel. Master, I'll handle that. Please leave it to me, Grafia said as she looked at the towel. Yuya gave it to her and sat down on the sofa. Grafia walked out of the room with the towel in her hands as she walked towards the bathroom to place it in the washing basket. And no, I shouldn't, Grafia thought as she looked at the wet towel. Come on, a sniff won't matter, right? A chibi Grafia with horns and black wings said near the right ear of Grafia. I won't, right? Grafia muttered. Absolutely not, you can't do this, a chibi Grafia with angel wings and halo said from the left. Why yes, I can't, this is wrong, Grafia muttered. What is the hesitation, you have done it before, the devil said. Grafia was stuttering. That was a mistake, don't do this or you will break his trust, the angel said. What should I do? Grafia was tempted to smell the towel as she moved it closer to her nose. What will you do when your master sniffs your towel? The angel said as she stumbled on her own words. will dash. And oh, the angel screamed. He, the devil laughed. Grafia, why are you spacing out? A flat voice sounded behind her. Chapter 24, Massage. Grafia, why are you spacing out? A flat voice sounded behind her. And master, why are you here? Grafia shouted loudly as she threw the towel in the washing basket. Why are you shouting? You took too long, so I came to look for you, Yuya said as he looked at Grafia. What were you doing? He titled his head. And nothing, let's go, master, it is quite late, Grafia said hurriedly, and Yuya nodded as he didn't pursue the matter. She might be doing something personal. I should be careful as I don't want the bathroom incident to happen again, Yuya thought as he walked towards his room with Grafia following him a step behind with a slight blush on her face. Looks like master didn't notice, Grafia sighed in her mind as she looked at Yuya, who was walking like his every step was measured with an elegant gait. I have been thinking about this for a while, but is master a royal? His demeanor is more refined than mine, Grafia thought as she looked at Yuya. Then they arrived in front of Yuya's room and Yuya opened the sliding door and then entered. Grafia's heartbeat fastened as she entered the room as she tried to hide the blush on her face. As she turned on the heater and set it to 68 degrees Fahrenheit so that she could easily give Yuya a massage. Yuya picked up the futon that was laid down on the floor and placed it inside the wardrobe. Master, where are you going to sleep? Grafia asked with a confused look. On this, Yuya said without turning back. A big bed appeared in the middle of the room and Yuya climbed onto the bed and lay down in the middle. Grafia, give me a massage, my body is really stiff for some reason, Yuya said as he looked at Grafia. Yes, master. Graphia said as she climbed onto the bed with a little blush as her heartbeat increased. This bed is so soft. Where did Master get this? Graphia thought as she poked at the mattress and moved towards her master, and sat down on a seiza beside him as she rested her hands on her knees and then looked at Yuya. Master, can you take off your shirt and lay on your stomach? Graphia said as she maintained her composure. Okay, Yuya said as he sat up and removed his t-shirt, revealing his well-defined broad chest with 8 packs on his stomach. With his strong arms, his body is bulkier than a swimmer, but isn't bulky enough to look bad. It is a body that suits his age and looked like it was created by the god of art. It was the most beautiful body she has ever seen. Gulp asterisk. Graphia gulped unconsciously as her face heated up when she saw Yuya's body. But she controlled herself not to show it, as she needed to act like a proper maid. Yuya then lay down on his stomach as he rested his head on a pillow with his face turned to the left side. Graphia looked at the wide back of her master in awe as his back was as she saw the defined muscles on his back. She wiped the drool from her lips and shook her head to clear any unnecessary thought from her mind, which was hard for her as her devil blood was reacting, making her body hotter. But she tried really hard to keep her cool and not jump on her master. What happened, Graphia? She then heard Yuya's voice, which broke her out of her daze. I am an idiot. Master believed in me and here I am having indecent thoughts. Looks like I'll have to retrain so that I can become a perfect maid for my master. Graphia made up her mind as she moved her hands. Then I'll start, Master, Graphia said as Yuya affirmed. Graphia nodded and used her hands to touch Yuya's shoulders as she slid her finger on his shoulder unconsciously. So soft, Master skin so soft and smooth that it is unfair. Graphia was lost in the softness of Yuya's skin, which felt just like the skin of a newborn. Master, your skin is really smooth, Graphia blurted out. Well, that is fine and all, but how long do you plan to feel up my skin? Yuya said with a bit of confusion in his voice. Sorry. Graphia broke out of her daze as her face blushed and began to work on Yuya's neck by using wide, pinching movements around the base of the skull and neck. Few asterisk. This is great, Graphia, Yuya said as he felt his stiff shoulder muscles to loosen, and he felt great. Thank you, Master, then please don't move, Graphia said with a smile as she felt a bit proud. You got it, Yuya said. And Graphia continued to massage Yuya's back softly as she pressed her thumbs on either side of the spine. She moved the thumbs away from the spine and worked down the spine to the sacrum, then repeated it several times, causing Yuya to sigh and wonder several times. This is so good. Yuya, who was experiencing a massage for the first time in his long life, was satisfied. As for why he didn't even get a massage was because he didn't really think it was necessary, as he never felt this tired before. Graphia, can you do this every day? I might get addicted to this, Yuya said in his usual tone, which caused Graphia to think that he was joking. Master, please don't joke with me, Graphia said as she was moving her hands with a face that had a look of, I won't fall for it. But I am not, it feels really good, Yuya said as he turned his head towards her and said with a slight smile. Graphia was stunned when she saw this smile. If you want it, Master, I can do this whenever you ask. Graphia felt really happy that she learned massage. Thank you, then I'll trouble you, Yuya said, and Graphia nodded with a smile. Then she did a spinal flush. Using her elbows, she dug them into imaginary railroad tracks on either side of Yuya's spine and moved down the back to the tailbone, and repeated it several times. She then returned to the tops of the shoulders and alternated between squeezing and pressing movements along with the bulky deltas of the shoulders and moved down each arm. When she reached the palms, she pressed her thumb into the center of the palm and lightly pressed each fingertip firmly. Sleepy, Yuya felt really sleepy as Graphia continued to repeat her movements, causing his body to lighten, and coupled with the new bed he felt like he was floating as he drifted into sleep. Graphia, who was too engrossed in massaging her master that she didn't notice him fall asleep, and continued for 5 minutes. Then she looked down to see Yuya sleeping soundly with slow rhythmic breaths. She stopped as a soft smile appeared on her lips. She helped her master to sleep in a proper position and looked at him after she covered him in a blanket. Master's eyelashes are really long, and he is really way too good looking. If he smiles properly, then he might topple the world with his charm, she thought as she leaned in to see Yuya's face closely. I want to know more about Master. I want to see him smile more. I want him to be happy. I want to be beside him and support him in every way possible. And Graphia fell asleep on the bed beside Yuya unknowingly. After some hours, Yuya's body started hurting all over as he felt like his body was being remade from inside out as his bones were grounded to powder, and every fiber of his muscle was ripped apart. His eyebrows scrunched a little but didn't wake up from his sleep and continued to sleep. "It hurts," he muttered in his sleep lightly in his flat tone. But then his body felt warm, which caused his body to embrace this warmth unconsciously, and he felt warmer with a soft sensation on his body, but he still didn't open his eyes and continued to sleep. Graphia felt great in her sleep and didn't want to wake up with her body feeling a warmth she had never felt before, and she didn't want to lose it. But she had to wake up to clean the house and learn more about this world, as she can't burden her master, so she opened her heavy eyelids and her sleepy eyes shot wide open. Is this a dream? I know it has to be a dream. Graphia was shocked as she tried to make sense out of the situation, but her brain failed to work as she panicked in her mind because she wasn't able to find any solutions. Her face heated up and she felt dizzy as she looked upward to see. Chapter 25, Bonus Chapter, Nightmare? Graphia's face heated up and she felt dizzy as she looked upward to see Yiya's face close to her, as she felt his strong arms wrapped around her, holding her so softly like he was holding the most precious thing in the world. Their legs tangled while he was still shirtless, and the blanket was on the floor as they lay on their side facing each other with Yiya's eyes closed shut and Graphia's eyes wide open. Graphia's chest was on Yiya's as her big melons were squeezed on his broad chest. She saw her arms around his body hugging him as they were so close to each other that she can feel his beating heart and his warm breath on her forehead. Her heartbeat quickened as her heart pounded faster, threatening to break out of her chest. Gulp asterisk. Graphia gulped when she saw Yiya's pretty face from close, with long eyelashes, a sharp nose with thin cherry pink lips that looked like a delicacy, a defined jawline, and a handsome face that can also be considered cute, with a long neck with his fair milky white skin and his Adam's apple that moved slightly whenever he breathed. To top it all off, his musky scent that was making her lightheaded. Graphia was so tempted by his beauty that she started to question who the devil was between them. Graphia felt his warmth with her whole body, and just wanted to fall asleep again, but didn't know what will happen when she will wake up again. What do I do? Her brain was still looking for a way to get out of this predicament. She tried to move and get out of his embrace slowly so that he doesn't wake up, but then... Don't go, Yuya said in his sleep with a voice laced with sadness. Graphia's eyes shot wide open when she heard the sadness in his voice. Her heart ached when she heard that voice. She hadn't heard him like this. He has always had that static voice that didn't change no matter what, only showing a slight smile rarely. But now, he sounds so weak and frail, like he'll break from the slightest touch. What happened to Master? I want to know more about Master. I want to help him, Graphia thought as her body stopped moving back but rather moved towards Yiya, hugging him in her arms tenderly as she felt a new emotion blossom in her heart, as she felt Yiya's emotions more clearly. Sadness, reminiscence, yearning. And what is it this? Graphia was able to feel these from Yiya, but she was confused when she felt that darkness that was clumped together in a calm swirl. She couldn't sense anything from it, and she soon forgot about it. Is Master thinking about someone? Who is it to make him feel this sad? Graphia felt her heartache as she thought about him thinking about someone else, and anger for the person who made him this sad. She tightened her hands around him. I'm here with you and always will be, Graphia said softly as she hugged Yiya tenderly, and her face heated up. She didn't know whether he heard it or not, but she didn't care about it because she was too busy to understand these new feelings that were different from loyalty and devotion to him. She looked at his expression only to see the small frown on his eyebrow vanished. Graphia smiled as she caressed Yiya's back slowly. To think that I will care so much for a man I barely know, but I don't mind it. I'll devote my all and stay beside you to the end of my life, Graphia thought as she smiled as she looked at Yiya's face. She hugged Yiya as their whole body touched each other, and she was lost in this warmth that she felt while she caressed Yiya's back lightly as his arms pulled her closer to him. After an hour, Yiya's hands around Graphia loosened, and she moved back to separate herself from Yiya. Although she was unwilling to part with him, she climbed down the bed and went to the bathroom to take a shower, then changed into her maid outfit. Graphia came back into the living room to see the clock. It is 7:30 a.m. I slept a bit too much, Graphia muttered with a slight smile and took the trash to the front door. Then she came in to clean the house and went to the kitchen to prepare for breakfast and bake something Yiya would like. I also have to study more about this world, Graphia thought as she worked. While Yiya was still immersed in his sleep, seeing someone, and he was feeling conflicted. The person Yiya was seeing was the one he yearned to be with, but also someone he least wanted to show his current state to. Because the current me is someone you will surely despise, right? Yuya thought as he lifted his blank eyes to look at the woman that was standing in front of him. Glowing red eyes with black fluttering hair that had a hint of purple as her lips formed a soft smile, while she looked back at him with a background that was a starry sky as the moon illuminated the night. The woman was about to say something, but the scenery changed. The beautiful night sky was filled with dark ominous clouds as thunder rumbled, and it rained heavily. He saw the woman laying on her back while she bled from her mouth and a gaping hole on her chest. Yuya saw a man whose clothes were tattered, covered with mud and blood that was slowly being washed away by the heavy rain. The man who looked like him was holding the woman as he cried while his sorrowful screams were covered by the rumbling lightning and heavy rain. "Don't leave me, don't go," the man said while hugging the woman close to him as rage swirled in his heart. The woman, even at her death's door, didn't lose her soft smile as she looked at the man. "If possible, I don't want to end live here with you," the woman said with difficulty. "I'll kill them. I swear, every last one of them." The man cried out as he gritted his teeth as a black swirl emerged in his heart, ready to destroy everything like a raging tsunami that will wipe out everything. Yuya looked at the scene as he placed his hand on his heart and felt the swirl that was there, as calm as a serene lake with no ripples, but small ripples started to appear in it as he looked at the scene in front of him. But something calmed him down as he felt an unfamiliar warmth on his body. "Is it her?" While Yuya was thinking about where this warmth came from, the woman suddenly looked Yuya's way, which surprised him. Her red eyes were blurry and losing its luster, but there was still an indescribable light in them. She reached out her hand towards him with difficulty, as tears slid down her face and her lips quivered slightly. The woman's lips moved, but no words came out of her mouth. Yuya's eyes widened. It was like he can hear her words loud and clear even when she couldn't say anything. Then his vision darkened and Yuya opened his eyes. He felt something wet sliding down his face, so he reached for it as he sat up and saw drops of tears falling down his face onto the bed. "So much for a bed that helps with nightmares," Yuya said as he lay down again while wiping his face. He stayed on the bed for some time as the words of the woman rang in his ears loudly. He stood up and picked up the t-shirt that was on the ground and wore it. Then he looked at the mirror on the wall. He saw his empty blue eyes with a blank face. He leaned forward and his forehead touched the mirror. "I know you would hate me for who I have become. It is ironic that I became like the ones I wanted to kill," Yuya muttered softly through his breath as his fingers wrapped around his neck. "Will it all end if I just—" Yuya thought as his hand tightened a bit. And Yuya heard her last words again ringing in his head, and his fingers loosened as he looked in the mirror. Yuya walked toward the bathroom to brush his teeth and take a shower. In the middle of the shower, he heard a voice. "Master, I am leaving your clothes and a fresh towel outside." Graphia's voice sounded in the bathroom as Yuya remembered. "I forgot to bring a change of clothes." Yuya affirmed and continued to wash his body as Graphia left the bathroom and went towards the kitchen to start making breakfast. Yuya walked out as he wiped his body with a towel and changed into the full-sleeved purple t-shirt with black sweatpants, and walked towards the kitchen to see Graphia placing breakfast for him on the table. It was a sunny side-up omelet with toasted bread and a cup of coffee. Yuya sat down on his chair as Graphia pulled his chair for him and placed a napkin on his lap. Then she stood beside him waiting for any orders he might have. "Did you eat?" Yuya asked in his usual tone. "No, I haven't, master," Graphia said as she shook her head. "Then eat it now," Yuya said, and Graphia nodded as she brought her breakfast, which was the same as him, and sat down near him with a soft smile on her face. Yuya didn't pay it any attention as he started eating in silence, and Graphia followed suit. Although there was no noise on the table, it surprisingly didn't feel awkward. As Yuya finished his breakfast, he stood up, and Graphia stood up as she finished her food just after him and started cleaning the table, then went inside the kitchen to wash the plates with a soft smile on her face. Chapter 26, Teaching. Yuya sat down on the sofa in the living room and unlocked his laptop and opened Synopsis to see the reaction of people, and it was as he expected. 100,000 views with 50,000 likes. It is a lot for a single night, Yuya thought. The response of the people was good as well, and Yuya made a Twitter with the same name as his pen name, which was Tenju. He was too lazy to use a different name, and uploaded the 2 chapters he wrote before with his Twitter account linked to it. As for the reason why he made a Twitter account is simple. It is for the publishing companies to contact him. Because there is no other way to contact him, so he made a Twitter account. With this done, I have to wait for the book to blow up, and the rest is elementary, Yuya thought as he started typing again. Because of his photographic memory, it was easy for him to remember everything he has ever read. So he continued typing away to pile up chapters. Graphia came into the room and stood beside Yuya as she has finished all the chores that needed to be done. Master's emotions are a lot calmer now, Graphia thought as she looked at Yuya with a smile. Graphia, you should learn about modern technology as well, Yuya suddenly said as he looked at Graphia. Yes, Master, I have been reading about the appliances you gave me, Graphia said. Okay, then try to use this then, Yuya said as he finished another chapter and placed the laptop on the table and pointed at it. Graphia is a fast learner, and she is intelligent, so I don't have to worry, as she will be able to adapt to the technology gap quickly, Yuya thought as he patted the empty space beside him. Excuse me, Graphia said as she sat down beside Yuya and looked at him. Yuya taught Graphia about how to use a laptop and the internet. So I can look through a lot of information on the internet? Graphia said as she nodded. Yes, anything you want can be searched on the internet, Yuya said in his usual tone. Okay, Master, Graphia said as she tried typing with her index finger poking at the keyboard and searched. Japanese food recipe? I muttered. Yes, I never learned about Japanese food before. As Master is Japanese, I wanted to make something you like, Graphia said with a smile. Okay, although I don't mind the food you cook, just do what you feel like as you have free time anyway, Yuya said as he showed Graphia how to use the other functions on the laptop. Master is so close to me, Graphia thought her, and Yuya's thighs were touching as he taught her. His body was really close to her as she looked at him while he talked about the things she needs to know. Yuya saw Graphia looking at his face with a soft smile. Did you understand everything? Yuya asked her as he moved back a little, and slight sadness was reflected in Graphia's eyes. Yuya sighed in his mind as he waited for Graphia to answer. Yes, Master, I understood, Graphia said as she smiled. That is good, then you can use it for the time being, Yuya said as he used his phone to look at the responses from the readers. He looked through the positive comments which were expected, and he continued looking through them as he felt Graphia learning how to use the laptop seriously as she was fully concentrated. While Yuya and Graphia were spending their time silently, the other world was in chaos, or to be more precise, in Montes, the royal capital of the Kingdom of Alcyria. The royal palace where the royal family of Alcyria resided in was in chaos because of the return of the first princess after she was attacked on her sightseeing. The king was livid as he walked around his room in worry until he heard that Lexia came back unharmed. He ran to see his daughter only to be stopped by the physician that said, Princess is extremely fatigued at the moment and is sleeping, so I would implore the king to please visit her later. The royal physician, who was an old man wearing loose white robes with golden strips and white hair that was tied in a ponytail. Then I will visit her in the morning, the king said as he walked back looking dejected because he couldn't see his daughter, but still a part of him felt relieved that she returned unharmed because he didn't want to lose his daughter. After all, he loved her dearly. The damn bastard who tried to harm my daughter, I'll wipe your damn family out of existence, the king said as he stomped towards the reception room. He loves his daughter a bit too dearly, if I may add. But he still backed down, and went to tell his guest about what happened. The following morning, in the reception room of the royal castle, which was filled with luxurious decorations with a red carpet with golden designs on it, was laid on the floor with antique-looking sofas. The walls were white with a massive chandelier hanging on the high ceiling. Owen was standing in the room at the moment, as he was a bit nervous. There were 3 people present in the room at the moment other than Owen. 1 man and 2 women. An elderly man with blonde hair and blue eyes sat quietly in a high, opulent chair, dressed in glittering clothes. Owen's body naturally tensed up in front of his gaze, which conveyed a sense of compassion and dignity. Arnold von Alcyria. He is the current king of the Alcyria kingdom and Lexia's father. At present, the royal castle's audience chamber in this royal capital of Montes has only the appearance of the king, Arnold, and Owen. So you are telling me that Lexia was saved by someone who lived in the Great Devil Den? Arnold asked as the disbelief in his voice was clear, and that was the same for others in the room as well. To live in the Great Devil Forest, what type of man is he? Continue, Arnold said, and Owen recounted about the events that took place. It is really hard to believe that a person that strong is unknown, Arnold muttered, as the eyes of one of the women shined as she heard about this. Yes, father, I think Yuya-sama is from a foreign royal family or a noble. He is really good looking as well, Lexia said as she smiled dreamily. Is it a strong man and handsome at that? Can I get married now? No, He will have to defeat me first. Sigh asterisk, why did I have to set my standards so high? The woman with a wolf cut of peach-colored hair and slit pink eyes. She was wearing a silver breastplate, a jet-black cloak, and a single sword on her waist as she listened to the talk silently. Your Majesty, from what I think this man should be a foreigner, as his name is different from any name we have heard. Even his hair was black with blue eyes, Owen said as he bowed. And you said that he will come here in a week? Owen asked. Yes, that was what we agreed upon, and he went back into the forest, Owen said. Yuya-sama's magic was also unique. He summoned a spell of wind element with just a word, and he called it a low-level spell that destroyed an area as large as the courtyard of the castle and then restored it with a single word as well, Lexia said with a smug smile. Cough asterisk. The woman with peach-color hair coughed as she was drinking her tea, and Arnold was petrified by what he heard. Are you sure you didn't run into the magic saint? No, wait, he isn't handsome. So is he his disciple? Why, that geezer, I'll punch his lights out for not telling me about this, the woman said as she clenched her fist. Sword Saint Sama. Lexia looked at the woman warily. Why do I feel a great sense of dread from her? Lexia thought. Yes, the third person in the room is the Sword Saint Iris Noblade and the strongest holy of the current era. Anyway, I'll tag along with you in a week. As he is the disciple of a fellow saint, it is my responsibility to see if he is worthy, Iris said as she coughed while lying. Sigh, I'm the only one of my classmates who hasn't married yet, and I can't stop training with my sword, so what am I supposed to do? I can't let this opportunity go away, Iris thought. See, certainly, as I thought a person couldn't be of normal status, and thank you Sword Saint Sama for accompanying them, Arnold said as Iris waved her hand. As Owen and Arnold nodded, with Lexia being a bit reluctant, but she can't deny a holy, so she nodded as well. Seeing that everyone agreed, Iris stood up and walked out of the room and went to the room that was given to her in the royal castle here during her stay. She was on her way to the regal kingdom, but stopped by at the royal capital because she heard that the first princess was attacked by monsters. She wanted to help, but the princess was safe, so after she was given the offer to stay the night, she accepted. But there was something more troublesome worrying her. The strongest and most famous sword saint was worried about her nearing the end of her marriageable age. The school she entered was not normal, but the prestigious Artemia Girls' Academy, and the headmistress was a legendary witch who had once worked as an S-class adventurer despite being a noblewoman. That's why, even though it's a girls' academy, there were classes to learn how to defend oneself, and Iris didn't neglect to practice voluntarily. As a result, Iris acquired abilities that far exceeded those of her classmates, and obtained a power that overwhelmed even the teachers. Then, the headmaster of the school, who was interested in Iris' abilities, introduced a certain person to Iris. That person was the former Sword Saint, who would become Iris's master. Chapter 27 Cake. Since her predecessor was also a woman, she took an interest in Iris, who also wanted to pursue the path of the sword. Iris had a talent for swordsmanship, so she officially became an apprentice, and from there, she became even more devoted to swordsmanship. However, after graduation, her friends got married one after another, and she became the only single person left in her class. This was when she started to think about marriage for the first time. However, since she had never been in love before marriage, she had to learn about love first. Iris had reached the turn of her 20s. In this world, it was normal for people to be married by their early 20s at the latest. Iris had not married or had even been in a relationship with a man. Iris had set conditions for the man she wanted to go out with. He had to be stronger than her, he had to be financially secure, and he had to be good-looking. She had set these conditions. That's why she turned down all the men who picked her up or approached her directly about an engagement, as they didn't meet all the requirements. And as a result, no one talked to her anymore, as she was unapproachable. I know I've been very strict with my requirements, so now I've changed my mind. Iris said this in an impatient tone, making excuses to no one in particular. I don't need a man to be rich or cool, I just want someone stronger than me, Iris said as she jumped on the bed, burying her head in the pillows. I wonder if there is anyone stronger than me. Although Iris had completely misjudged which of her conditions should have been loosened, for Iris, wanting someone stronger than herself was unavoidable. She grew up without knowing about romance, and as she developed delusions of being in love, she longed for a prince who could protect her and save her. Iris could not abandon this fantasy she had once yearned for. The somewhat disappointing Sword Saint, Iris, was overwhelmingly strong, but she was struggling against a powerful enemy called marriage. It was currently 3 p.m. and Grafia was serving some tea and shortcake to Yuya. Yuya took a bite and showed a slight smile. "Master, how is it?" Grafia asked as she saw the slight smile on Yuya's lips and felt a bit proud. "It is good, I like it," Yuya said as he drank his tea. "This is the best shortcake I have eaten." Just short of Ashbur's, Yuya thought in his mind as he finished the shortcake. "Can I have another?" Yuya asked as he looked at Grafia. "Please have as many as you feel like, master," Grafia said with a smile as she looked at her master and placed another shortcake on his plate. "Thank you," Yuya said as Grafia stood beside him again and saw Yuya eating again. Ring asterisk ring asterisk. "It should be Marin, bring her in," Yuya said as Grafia nodded. "Marin? Is it master's friend?" Grafia thought as she walked towards the door and opened it to see a blonde girl wearing a pink off-shoulder top with white shorts. Marin, who was about to say hi to Yuya, stopped as she saw someone she didn't know open the door. Both women looked at each other. "Who is she?" Marin thought as she looked at the cold silver-haired beauty wearing a French-made uniform. She looked like she came out of an anime world. "She is so beautiful," Marin thought as she looked at Grafia. Before Grafia could ask something. "Oh my god, you totes look like a real maid. Did Yuya make this dress for you? Do you like cosplaying as well?" That was her first reaction when she saw Grafia, who was in her full maid attire. "I don't know what cosplay you are talking about. I am really master's maid, and you are?" Grafia said. "Master? You are so in character. Which anime is this character from? This maid outfit looks so cute," Marin said as she squealed and jumped around. "Are you Marin-san?" Grafia asked as she knew that this girl isn't going to listen to her. "Is she the one Master talked about? I thought she would be a calm person like Master, but this is the opposite. Is this Master's type?" Grafia thought as she felt a bit of crisis. "Yes, I am here to meet Yuya-kun," Marin said with a smile. "She is calling Master by his first name. She must be close to him. But she is just a normal human as I can't feel any mana from her. I'll just take her to Master as he asked me to." Grafia made up her mind after she pushed her thoughts away. "This way," Grafia said as she walked in her proper elegant gait, leaving Marin in awe. "She is so into character. She must be a great cosplayer, but why haven't I heard of her even though she looks so beautiful?" Marin thought as she looked at Grafia, who was walking with her braids swaying behind her. "Is that a wig? It looks so real. Where did she get it from?" Marin was in her own world as they arrived in the living room where Yuya was sitting. "Yuya-kun, how have you been? Did you miss me?" Marin asked as she sat down beside Yuya like the most natural thing. Grafia's eyes widened a bit as she saw how familiar Marin was acting with Yuya, and the subtle change in Yuya's blank eyes. It was just a little, almost negligible. They really are close to each other, Grafia thought. "I am certainly missing my peaceful time that was taken away by you," Yuya said as he drank some tea as Grafia served Marin with some tea and shortcake. "Mao, Yuya-kun is no fun, and you seriously don't have to do that, Marin said while looking at Grafia as she realized that she didn't know the person's name. "My name is Grafia, and it is my duty to serve the guests that come to the house, so don't mind it," Grafia said as she bowed elegantly, and stood beside Yuya as she silently glanced at him. "Yuya-kun, care to explain what is going on?" Marin asked Yuya. "Why should I do that?" Yuya asked in his usual manner. Marin nearly fell off the sofa. "Why, Yuya-kun, you aren't following the script. This is where you get flustered and explain the misunderstanding," Marin shouted. "I don't know what script you are talking about, and what misunderstanding?" Yuya asked with a blank face. "Mao, Yuya-kun, is Grafia-san your maid? And not your girlfriend role-playing as a maid?" Marin asked, and Grafia's face turned red as she certainly did understand what that term meant as she has been learning about the modern culture. "Don't talk nonsense, she is my maid," Yuya answered without any change in his expression, and Grafia's face turned redder. "If you say so, I didn't know that Yuya-kun had a maid, and one that is so beautiful as well. Because Grafia-san wasn't here when we came," Marin said as she continued drinking the tea with the strawberry shortcake that was placed there. This is tasty." Marin's eyes brightened up as she ate a piece of the cake. "She had some work to do, so wasn't at home. Anyway, you came earlier," Yuya said as he ate the shortcake that Grafia gave him as he asked for more, and Grafia complied with her master's wishes. But this time it was a banana cupcake rather than a strawberry shortcake. "Okay, Master, this is the last one. It is bad for your health if you eat more," Grafia said with a smile. But I want more because it is so tasty, can I please? Yuya said as he looked at Grafia and tilted his head a little. Ugh, master, this is unfair, Grafia thought as she looked at her master. Okay, why you see can. Grafia melted like snow in the sun in front of Yuya's compliment and plea. Can you guys not flirt so openly? Now I doubt that she is your maid even more. Marin said as she narrowed her eyes. Oh no, what am I going to do? Marin-san isn't believing me, Yuya said with a blank face and flat tone as he moved his hands around exaggeratedly. What are you doing? Marin asked as her eyebrows twitched. Following the script, can I have another? Yuya said as he ate the cupcake and asked for more. At least put a little effort in it, and do something about that tone, Marin said as veins appeared on her forehead. Yuya nodded. You are totes ignoring me now, Marin said as she pouted. Master does act differently towards her. It is like he knows her for a long time, but there is still a wall between them. Does that make any sense? But I am happy that Master can be a little happy, Grafia thought as she looked at Marin and Yuya sitting next to each other. I want to. Grafia shook her head to dismiss her thought, and stood silently. Chapter 28, Shopping. Yuya-kun, you live here alone, right? Marin suddenly asked. Yuya nodded while eating. Oh, this is really something. Yuya-kun, you have a maid and you live alone with her. Yufufu, what type of relationship do you guys have? Like a secret affair between the master and maid, or an open one? What do you guys do alone in this big house? This is so interesting, Marin said with a smirk as several scenarios ran through her head about the relationship between them. Bonk asterisk. YOWCH, Yuya-kun, that is uncalled for, Marin said as she rubbed her head with her hands because Yuya gave her a light chop on her head. You are playing too many adult games, and now it has started affecting your thoughts. And I have said it before, don't compare real life with eroge game scenarios, Yuya said as he looked at Grafia, who was blushing inside. A secret affair. Grafia's brain was overloaded as she remembered that she was indeed in Yuya's embrace in his bed this morning. But isn't that what usually happens? Marin said with a smile. How did you even reach that conclusion? Yuya said as he ate his cupcake. Then why is your maid blushing, Yuya-kun? What did you do? No, it can't be. Yuya-kun isn't that type of person, but why am I so sure he isn't? And why do I? Marin questioned in her mind, why did she know about this? Oh, you are no fun, Yuya-kun, Marin said as she looked at Grafia's reaction and then at Yuya. So when are we going to buy the materials? Yuya asked. In a bit, let me finish this cake first. This is so delicious, Marin said as she ate with a gleeful smile. Do you like sweets? Yuya asked. I love sweets. I can't function without rice and sweets, Marin said with a big grin. She likes sweets just like her. The reason I like sweets so much is because of Ashper. She used to bake a lot as her hobby and gave a lot of it to me, though let's not talk about how it was when she started baking. Yuya thought as he looked at Marin, who asked for more, and shuddered a bit when he remembered the first batch of cake he ate, if it can even be called that. He looked at Marin, who was explaining how important sweets are. The more time I spend with her, the more she reminds me of her. Just minus her noisy behavior, which can be a handful. If she really did get a chance to live, then it is good, as her life hasn't been any good before, Yuya thought as he remembered the life Ashper has lived. Both of us have lost so much that we... Yuya sighed at his thoughts. Right, Yuya-kun, are you listening? Marin asked as she looked at Yuya, who was lost in his own thoughts. And Grafia was looking at him as she felt his emotions become a bit chaotic. Yes, Yuya said as he smiled slightly, which shocked Marin, and didn't let his inner thoughts show on his face. He finished his cup of tea, then looked at Grafia, who has collected herself as she was looking at him with worry and sadness in her eyes. He didn't know why she was looking at him like that, but he didn't say anything. Master just smiled again. Although, I should be happy, why do I feel sad when I see him smile at someone else? Grafia thought as she looked at Yuya. Okay, let's go, Marin asked as she finished eating. Yuya nodded and walked towards his room to change. Only Grafia and Marin were inside the room. Are you coming with us, Grafia-san? Marin asked suddenly. No, I will tend to the house, Grafia said with a smile as she cleared her thoughts a bit, and Marin nodded. They were glancing at each other, but they didn't say anything after that. After 5 minutes, Yuya walked in wearing a white shirt and black pants. Then let's go, Yuya-kun, Marin said as she stood up with a smile. Yuya nodded at her, and then looked at Grafia. Do we need anything at the house? Yuya asked her. No, we don't, master, Grafia said with a bow. Alright then, we'll be back by 6 p.m. Yuya said as he walked towards the door and wore his brown shoes. Yes, master, I'll be waiting for you, Grafia said with a small smile. Okay, Yuya said as he walked out of the door while thinking. Why did she say that? Is it because? Yuya thought. Bye, Grafia-san, Marin said while waving her hand as she followed Yuya, and Grafia waved back at her. Then the door closed and Grafia was left alone in the house. Sigh asterisk. I should be happy that master smiled, but why do I feel? Grafia thought as she walked back and found herself in front of Yuya's room without knowing. She went in after hesitating a bit, and looked at the bed where she was in the morning. I only want to. Grafia climbed onto the bed and lay down on the spot Yuya was sleeping on. Although the mattress was cold, her body felt warm. For some reason she curled up as she smelled Yuya's scent on the bed. What do I want? Grafia muttered as she closed her eyes as the new emotion in her heart became stronger. MC POV. Nay, Yuya-kun, what do you think about that? Marin called out to me while pointing at the billboard that had an anime poster as we stepped out of the Shibuya station under the eyes of the crowd, and the reason being. That can come later, but Marin, why are you holding onto my arm? I asked her in my usual tone as her breasts were pressed on my arm. It is so crowded, what if we get separated? Marin said as she grinned. Okay, I said as I was too tired to argue with her. What? You accepted it. I was sure you would be like, do you think I'll buy that? Or something like that. Marin said as she tried to imitate my tone. I am just following the script, I said normally as we walked towards the shopping center. Your script is so wrong for reals, Marin said with a smile as her grip around my arm tightened. Okay, Marin-san, can you leave my hand while you're dash? I was about to continue. Your timing and tone couldn't be worse, Marin shouted. I just looked at her. Say something? Marin said. You are loud, I said in my normal tone. That is what you are worried about, Marin said as she hung her head. And we reached the handicraft shop named Usawaya and entered. And we walked towards the cosplay corner. What do you think about it? Isn't it awesome? Marin said in with a smile, and I nodded a bit. So Marin-san, what is the budget? I asked her so that I can choose items accordingly. Don't worry about that, I saved up a lot of money from part-time jobs, Fufin, Marin said with a grin as she raised her nose high. If you say so. I nodded and we went to the cloth section. What do you think about this one, Yuya-kun? Marin asked me as she pointed at a black cloth. I think this one will be better, I said as I pointed at the one in the corner. It looked of high quality. Why? Marin asked me. Because they go to a prestigious school, so the uniform's material should be of high quality. But this one is a bit too thick to wear, I said as I touched the material. I looked to the right and saw a female employee staring at me. Can I have a moment? I asked her, and she flinched. Sorry for staring at you guys because both of you looked good together, the girl said in one breath as she blushed. Looked good together. I heard Marin's surprised voice and looked at her to see a blush spread across her face. I wanted to ask if there is a more breathable material of the same quality, I asked the employee, showing her material as I ignored their earlier remark. Why yes, I'll get it right away. The female employee ran to the left, and then came running and went towards the right. Looks like she went the wrong way. I looked at Marin, who was looking at me. What happened? I asked her. Nothing, Marin said as she pouted, and the employee came back with the material I asked for. Thank you, I said as we continued to shop for more things that we needed from here, and Marin paid for it. So what do we have left? I asked her. There, the wig is next, she said as she led me towards Swallowtail while holding my hand. We entered the shop and looked at the wigs with different colors that were showcased everywhere in the shop. It is colorful, isn't it? Marin asked with a grin. And then, I nodded as I looked at the colorful displays that were full of wig with different hair colors. And we walked toward one of the displays to choose one. So is it going to be black medium? Marin asked. It should be deep violet, I said as I pointed at the one on the showcase. But Shizuka-tan's hair is black, Marin said. The color coding of the game is that the characters have the same hair and eye color, and Shizuka's character has purple eyes, I said as I looked at her. Doesn't it? Marin said as she blushed. You didn't notice it, I said to her. Yuya-kun, why do you have to be so mean? Can't you just think about it? Marin said as she lightly hit me with her fists, then looked away while pouting. So are we buying this one? I asked in my usual tone. Don't ignore me, but yes we are, Marin said as she puffed up her cheeks. Then is that all? I asked her. No, we still have one thing left, Marin said as she hugged my arm again and we walked down the road. What is it? I looked at her. Garter belts and stockings. Marin grinned widely as we stopped in front of a shop. Why? I muttered. Chapter 29, loud. How much more time will it take? Sighing heavily while ignoring the gazes of the females in the store, I spoke to Marin. Just wait a bit, why are you acting so shy? A cheerful voice answered me. Who else can it be other than Marin? I'll just wait, whatever. I shrugged as I leaned on the wall beside the changing room where Marin was trying on the garter belt for the outfit. Hey, Yuya-kun, come here. After 5 minutes, Marin called out to me and went near the changing room. What happened? Did it not fit properly? I asked her in my flat tone. Yuya-kun, are you calling me fat? How cruel. I may eat a lot, but I maintain myself and my size is not changing, you know. Marin said as she puffed up her cheeks. I never called you fat, I just thought you must have picked the wrong size. I simply said because I wasn't paying attention when she was looking for her size. Whatever, what do you think of this? Marin asked with a grin as she moved the curtains a little. A white garter belt with a flower net pattern and matching white stocking that reached halfway up to her thighs while exposing the rest. She was wearing white underwear with the same flower net pattern as the garter belt, which was connected to the stockings. Wasn't it supposed to be black? But kinda suits you, I said. Mao, that is your first reaction. Marin pouted as her face turned a little rosy. If you feel embarrassed, then don't do this kind of stuff, I said in my usual tone. Who is embarrassed? Let me show you how I look properly. Marin was about to move the curtains away, but... Flick asterisk. O-U-C-H, Yuya-kun. I flicked her forehead, and she let go of the curtain, and I closed them. Don't do stupid stuff in public, I said in my usual tone as I looked back to see the shopkeeper giggling as she covered her mouth with her hand. Foo-foo, Yuya-kun can get embarrassed as well. I looked back to see Marin poking her head out of the curtain and giggling. Just get changed, will you? And I certainly told you not to do this type of thing, I said as I looked at her. I am seriously worried about this girl. If it goes on like this, someone will take advantage of her. Yuya-kun, you are so cute when you worry about me, Marin said with a smile. Is that so? I looked at her while saying, how can I not be worried about you when you might be her? I thought as I looked at Marin, who was blushing. Why are you blushing? I asked her, knowing why she was blushing, as I didn't deny that I worry about her. And nothing. Marin quickly covered the curtain. Isn't it good to be young? The shopkeeper lady said as she came near where I was standing. Sorry for troubling you, I said to her, because Marin can be really loud without noticing it. No, it is fine. It isn't every day you get to see a young couple like this, the lady said as she giggled as she walked away. Thud asterisk. I heard the sound of someone falling behind me. I knew it was Marin. Marin, are you okay? I asked her. I am fine, Marin said in a high-pitched voice. Be more careful. I leaned back on the wall after I told her. Why, yes, Marin affirmed. I didn't say anything and waited for her to come out. Then the curtain opened and Marin's head poked out of it. Yuya-kun comes here, Marin called me. I looked at her, and she opened the curtains a little to show me her leg gain that was wrapped in black net stockings and a black garter belt with black panties with flower net patterns. Didn't I just tell you about this? Don't just show yourself like this to anyone, I said as I sighed heavily at this girl's behavior. You can think of it as a reward for accompanying me today, Marin said with a grin. This girl is wrong in the head, I thought as I looked at her. Marin became a bit shy as I looked at her, and then, what do you think? She asked me. Well, these are the ones that will suit the character, so it is the perfect one, I said in my usual tone. That's not what I am asking, Marin said as her face turned a little rosy. Then what do you want to know? I tilted my head and asked. How does it look on me? Marin asked me as her eyes darted all over. It suits you, I told her. Marin blushed and closed the curtains. What is the use of asking when you get shy? I shook my head and waited for her to come out. Marin walked out after she changed into her clothes and paid for the stockings and garter belt. But Marin still didn't look at me directly, and only looked down as she walked slightly behind me. We were on our way to my house because... Growled asterisk. Marin's stomach growled, and I looked at her as she was covering her face and her ears were red. Want to eat at my house? I asked. I'll eat at your house today, Marin said as she nodded with a blush. I nodded as I did tell her that she can eat at my house the last time because I don't want her to die of food poisoning. We reached my house with Marin walking silently while taking glances at me. After entering the house I saw Grafia standing there. I'm home, I said as I closed the door. Welcome back, Master, Grafia said with a smile as she bowed. Thank you for having me, Marin said as she regained her usual liveliness. Grafia nodded as we made our way towards the living room and sat down on the sofa. The time was 7 p.m. currently, and I was feeling hungry. I turned towards Grafia. The dinner is ready, Master. Should I place it on the table? Grafia asked me. Yes, I am hungry, I told her, causing her to smile as she looked at Marin. Marin-san will be eating here as well? Grafia asked. Yeah, sorry to bother you, Grafia-san, Marin said with a smile. Don't mind it, Grafia said as she walked towards the kitchen. Grafia-san is such a good maid, Marin said energetically, and I nodded a little. Marin, when are you going to wear the dress? I asked her. There are still 3 weeks remaining for the recent event, Marin said with a smile. Okay, let's go and eat then. I stood up after I spoke and walked towards the kitchen with Marin following me. I sat down as Grafia helped me with the chair and the napkin and then placed the food in front of us. The dinner for today was miso soup, rice, rolled eggs, and grilled fish. It was a normal Japanese meal. Oh, it smells so good, Marin said with a wide smile. It is my first time making Japanese food, so please tell me what it tastes like, Grafia said as she sat down on her chair and ate the food, which was delicious and didn't seem like Grafia cooked it for the first time. After finishing dinner we are now sitting in the living room with Marin sitting beside me rubbing her stomach with a satisfied smile. I am writing the chapters for Re-Zero so that I can upload them. The book is doing really well as the readers are commenting about wanting more chapters of it, but it will need more time before it can get offers from the publishing company. Grafia walked inside the room and placed a cup of tea in front of me and Marin. Master, please have some tea. Thank you, I said and picked up the teacup. Thank you, Grafia-san. Marin said the same as Grafia walked out of the room and came back with some cupcakes, then placed them on the table, and Marin's eyes lit up. Grafia-san, I love you so much. Marin jumped up and hugged Grafia. Cough asterisk. Please release me, Marin-san. Grafia coughed as she spoke, then looked at me for some help as Marin wasn't letting her go. Marin, are you not going home? It is getting late, I said as I looked at the time. It was near 8 p.m. Yes, I totes forgot about the time, Marin said as she sat down and ate the cupcake like they will disappear. She has no intention of going before she eats the cake, huh? I thought as I picked up a cupcake and ate slowly and uploaded the chapters one had written today, which were 4 chapters. Grafia stood beside me silently, and I continued my work. Okay, Yuyuku and I'll be going home now, Marin said with a smile as she stood up after eating 4 cupcakes. I looked at the time and said, I'll walk you home. I stood up because it was a little late for her to go alone. Thank you, Yuyuku. Marin smiled with a little blush. Don't mind it, I said as we walked towards the door and looked at Grafia. I'll be back in a bit, I said as Grafia nodded. I left the house with Marin and we are currently walking the empty road of my neighborhood. This area is only lively in the morning because of the huge estates around this area. Marin isn't saying anything and walking silently while occasionally looking at me. And after 20 minutes we reached the gate to a 6-story apartment building. Yuya-kun, Marin suddenly spoke. I looked at her. Thank you for today. I had so much fun today spending time with you, Marin said with a red face and dashed inside the building. Flashback. Ashper, you know we are enemies, right? I asked. I know, she said, nodding. Then we shouldn't meet like this, right? I said in my flat tone as I looked at her to see the sadness in her red eyes. Chapter 30 end. But I like spending my time with you. We are only enemies when we meet on the battlefield. So, I hope you can spend this time with me because I want to know more about you, Ashper said with a flat tone as she set up the table and placed the cupcakes she baked. You know, it would sound really good if it wasn't for your flat tone, I said as I ate the cupcakes she placed on the table. Ash, you know, you are the last person I want to hear that from, Ashper said as she smiled slightly. I guess you are right. I am the last person that should teach someone about these things. It is delicious as always. I spoke while eating the cupcakes and looked at Ashper, who was pouting. What happened? I asked. Don't act like you don't know, Ashper said as she looked away. I looked at her and felt a bit complicated, but I can't say anything to her. I don't want you to be left behind alone in the end. I don't want you to live alone after I am gone. It might be cruel, but that is all I can do for you as someone who knows how it feels. This is the only thing I can give you. I don't want you to suffer as I did. I thought as I ate the cupcakes and savored every bite of it as I heard a clock ticking in my head. With every second passing I can feel my end was closing in on me. I'm sorry, Ashfur, but this is all I can do. This is the cost for what I have done, and I have to pay my dues. I thought as I looked at the pouting Ashfur. Do you want to eat special fried rice from before? I asked her with a small smile. What, don't think you can win me over with that, Ashfur said as she looked at me as she drooled a bit. Too bad. Looks like you don dash dot. I was about to say but. 10 servings? Ashfur grabbed me by the shoulders and said with fire in her red eyes. Yes? I was a bit confused. I want 10 servings, number 50 servings, Ashfur said as she shook me. Okay, 50 normal servy dash. I was about to say but she looked at me with eyes that were speaking. Don't you dare. I guess those star dragons are going to go extinct after all, they are already low in numbers. But alright, 50 Ashfur servings it is, I said in my flat tone. After I said that, Ashfur was jumping around happily. Why are you being generous all of a sudden? You didn't cook for me when I asked before, Ashfur asked me. Just felt like it, yeah, just felt like it, I said as I looked at the sky that was filled with stars and felt Ashfur looking at me. Let's finish these then. You can eat as promised, I told her with a smile, and she nodded. Even after I stopped being a human, I still can't escape my death. There are many things I wish to change and many regrets in this life I lived. But it doesn't look like I can do anything about this, I thought in my head. But unknown to me, something in the depths of my soul shined brightly. And it is funny how it all works, isn't it? After the expected silence, I sighed heavily while walking back home. Welcome back, Master. I walked in to see the smiling Grafia. I'm back, I said as I removed my shoes. I went to sleep after Grafia gave me a massage. And like that, 6 days passed. This forest is huge. I have been exploring this forest sometimes to see what type of place it is. I need more information about this world. Even though I will be going to meet them tomorrow, I still need to know about magical beasts and the surrounding of where I live. Although it is troublesome, it is necessary, and this place has a lot of untouched material, I muttered as I walked through the forest, killing the goblin elites, hell slime, and bloody orge I saw. In the past 6 days, nothing much has changed in my daily routine. It is the same with Marin coming over sometimes to hang out at the house. She got closer to Grafia during this week, and they often talk when I am looking at how the novel is doing or making more chapters. I also got my bank card and I have deposited money in it, not too much but just enough to not get under suspicion. I will steadily increase the amount because I have got offers from many publishing houses, as Zero has been in first position on the website for the past 6 days, and by a huge margin at that. The response from the readers is also positive. The support for the novel is big enough for the publishing house to come running. So I don't have to worry about that front. The main thing is about which publication I should choose for this. I'll think about it later. I pushed these thoughts to the back of my head as I looked to my right, where I felt 2 monsters fighting. As I was curious, I approached the direction. And then... Fugo! Kayan! A big monster, humanoid and pig-faced, was attacking a single black dog. The pig monster's weapon may be inferior to mine, but it still uses a good quality weapon even to the layman's eye. On the contrary, the black dog has a very small body, which makes it look like a newborn puppy. It looks cute, I thought as I looked at the black puppy that was emanating an aura that you can only feel from a sacred beast. The puppy was battered and covered in blood, but standing there desperately. Then something like a steamy black thing rose from its body, but it quickly disappeared, and then the dog got dizzy and fell on its knees. You had my curiosity, now you have my attention. I looked at the puppy with curious eyes, or it looked more like a wolf cub, and a young one at that. The pig monster had a wicked grin on its face that even I could clearly see. It is a battle of nature, according to the law of the jungle. The weak die and the strong live. It is true in every society, no matter where or at which time you look. However, since I had met a monster I had never seen before, I decided to use my appraisal skills to check its status at the very least. Orc King. Level 600. Magic 5,000. Attack 20,000. Defense 15,000. Agility 5,000. Intelligence, 5,000. Luck 1,000. His attack is a bit high, I thought as I looked at the orc that still hasn't detected me because of my presence concealment. I took out the formless bow and pulled on empty air, then an arrow of wind formed on the bow that glowed in a green hue. I released the arrow and it made its way towards the orc's head. Swoosh asterisk. Just when it was near, the orc moved its body on instinct, and the arrow hit his left shoulder, piercing it through, and leaving a hole there, and his arm limped. Good. The orc roared as he looked around and didn't find me. Whoosh asterisk. A second later I was already behind the orc and swung my spear straight to his neck, but... Clang asterisk. He used his sword to block the attack, and tried to overpower me with strength as he stepped in closer. I turned the spear and hit him in his guts with the tail of the spear, knocking the orc back by 10 m. After stabilizing himself, the orc lunged at me, swinging his sword in a vertical arc. Although I call it a sword, its reach is greater than my spear because of how huge it is. I moved towards the right, slightly dodging the attack, and it landed on the ground. Bang asterisk. And rocks flew in all directions and reached the range to attack the orc. Swipe asterisk. Stab asterisk. I swung my spear, cutting off the arm that was holding the sword, causing blood to fly around. The orc tried to move back to maintain the space between us, but I was faster and stabbed the spear straight through the chest of the orc, impaling him. He wasn't that strong, I thought, as I am only using normal attacks and nothing special. I saw the orc king's body turn into particles of light and turned into drops. Pig king's meat: orc king's meat. It's a super high quality foodstuff that continues to attract many royalty and aristocrats. However, since the orc king itself is a disaster class existence, and rare even to appear, its meat is said to be a mirage. If you eat it, you will get peerless energy. The pig king's sword: the orc king's great sword. It's a super heavy sword, and cannot even be lifted by an ordinary strength. It's not sharp, but instead, it crushes the target with its overwhelming weight and sturdiness. The pig king's armor: armor worn by the orc king. It's a super heavy armor, and cannot even be lifted by an ordinary strength. It's made to be worn by the orc king, so humans cannot wear it. It's pretty sturdy and impossible even to get a scratch from an ordinary weapon. It's recommended to melt it down and make it into a new weapon. Magic stone, rank S: a special ore that can be obtained from magical beasts. Brush of the pig king's hair: rare drop item obtained from the orc king. It's gentle to any hair, nourishes it, and makes it shiny. It can also be used on the heads of people who have thinning or balding hair to revive dead hair roots and grow the hair. Due to its effects, it's traded at an extremely high price among aristocrats who suffer from hair problems. But it rarely comes out, and it is even said that it's only once every few thousand years that a new one is obtained. The drops are at least useful. I guess we will have stew for dinner. A pig is a pig no matter how big it is, I thought as I stored these things inside my inventory. Chapter 31, Bonus Chapter, Hattie. After I placed the drops inside my item box, I looked at the cute puppy that looking at me with wariness in his eyes. I can tell from his eyes that if he had the strength he would have ran away by now. Grrrr asterisk. I walked towards him and the puppy growled at me, trying to look threatening, but it only looked cute rather than threatening. I sat down in front of it and took out a flask that had the recovery potion I made from the recovery herb that grows in my garden. I also took out a bowl and poured it into it, then placed it in front of the cub. "Drink it, it will heal your wounds," I said in my usual tone. The cub looked at me hesitantly, and then at the bowl as if understanding what I meant. He licked the potion from the bowl slowly while looking at me, and his body was soon covered in a green hue. Then his wounds disappeared. The pup was healed and he licked his body to check while being surprised. I moved my hand to pat him. His body flinched a little when it saw my hand approach him, but it didn't move. I smiled slightly as I stroked his head softly. "Good boy," I muttered as I saw the cub loosen up as he felt me stroking him. His fur is really soft and fluffy. "Do you want to come with me?" I asked him as I continued stroking him. "Woof?" It looked up at me confused. "I'll take good care of you, what do you think?" I smiled slightly. "Woof. Woof." He jumped on me and started licking my face excitedly. "You are really smart, good boy," I said again as the cub climbed down. Skill, tame, has been acquired. I got a new skill again. I thought as I can get a skill pretty easily no matter what it is related to, even if I have never learned about it before, it comes to me easily. I shook my head as I looked at the cub and appraised his status. Black Fenrir. Level 500. Magic, 10,000. Attack, 10,000. Defense, 10,000. Agility, 15,000. Intelligence, 10,000. Luck, 10,000. Note, Yuya Tenji's follower. As I thought you aren't a normal wolf cub, a black fenrir, huh? How are you so cute then? The one I know isn't supposed to be this cute, I said as I rubbed my chin. Woof? The cub tilted his head cutely, not understanding what I was talking about. You certainly are much cuter than the one I fought with, I said as I picked him up and placed him on my shoulder. You know if Loki will cry tears of blood if she heard that. A voice sounded in my head. Well, she needs to be alive to cry now, doesn't she? I answered back in my mind. Well, that is true, you did kill her after all. I still remember how she actually tried to beg for her life back then, a contrast to her normal mischievous behavior. The voice answered back. You don't know a person's true self until you see them beg for mercy, I said back in my usual tone. That is true, she had to die for what she did to you after all. The voice said as it stopped talking like it realized something. You started talking to me again after 6 days, huh? I asked in my usual tone. The voice didn't answer back. Come on now, how long are you going to act like this? I said but didn't receive an answer. Sigh asterisk. I sighed heavily, causing the wolf cub to lick my face again as it looked at me as if asking what happened. What a caring kid. I still haven't given you a name right. How about? I said in my flat tone as I looked at the cub's dark fur and his resemblance to one of the dogs I killed before. Hattie, how about it? I said as I looked at the cub with my usual face. Woof! Woof! He woofed happily, and I placed him back on my shoulder and continued my exploration of the forest because it is still early afternoon. I was walking down an animal trail in the forest. Walking around in random directions is a pain in the neck, but I looked to my right. Was it my imagination? I voiced my thoughts and looked at Hattie. Woof! He was walking in front, looked backward and woofed as if asking what happened. It's nothing, I said, and he woofed cutely, then continued forward. Cute, I thought as I walked behind him. I felt another monster not that far from us, so I walked towards it, and Hattie followed me as he sensed the monster as well. The monster I found looked like a deer with 2 huge antlers that seemed to be made of crystal. Moreover, the color is different. One is a crimson crystal, and the other is an azure crystal. This is a new one, I thought as I appraised it. Crystal deer. Level, 630. Magic, 15,000. Attack, 10,000. Defense, 10,000. Agility, 15,000. Intelligence, 15,000. Luck, 3,000. The name is as simple as its appearance. I thought as I looked at the deer, look this way. No more like he found Hattie. Asterisk. Hattie is currently glaring at the deer as he knew that he had been found out. He got ready to attack. The crystal deer lunged straight towards Hattie. The level difference between them is big, so I doubt Hattie will be able to do anything. Swoosh asterisk. I hit the deer to the side of his head with the tail of the spear, knocking him and sending the deer out like a cannonball towards the right side. Bang asterisk. The deer smashed through some trees as it rolled on the ground and stood up on wobbly legs with blood pouring out of its temple. Woof! Hattie was shocked as all this happened before he can even notice. Do you want to try fighting it? I asked him, and he nodded with a cute cry. I don't think he will be able to fight it normally then. You are Hagelaz, Hagel, I was, yo. There, you can go and try fighting it now. I placed 3 runes that had the effect of enhanced endurance, protection, and enhanced strength. Although the effect is only a 10% increase at the moment, it is more than enough for now. I need to complete my magic circuit fast, or I might fall into a desperate situation, unless... Woof! Hattie's cry brought me out of my thoughts as I saw him get ready as he lunged at the deer. Rayawa asterisk. The deer shouted as a ball of fire formed between his antlers and a fire beam went towards Hattie, who jumped to the right and ran towards the deer, leaving a black shadow behind him. Woof! Hattie cried out as he used his claws to slash at the deer's neck. His speed was a bit too fast after his body got enhanced by the runes, although he isn't that good at fighting because of his young age, and he can't use his power to the fullest. It will be solved by training and fighting. Slash asterisk. Hattie's claws dug into the deer's neck as blood flowed out of it. Rhea asterisk. The deer cried out as it moved its antlers that were covered in ice and hit Hattie, who was knocked back. The deer launched many water spears in his direction, which were swiftly dodged by Hattie, but a spear did hit him. Bang asterisk. Or it hit the protective barrier around him. He wasn't injured as his body was covered by the barrier, and Hattie jumped back to attack the deer. It continued for another 30 minutes before Hattie killed the deer by ripping his neck with his sharp teeth, and then he plopped down on the ground exhausted. I walked towards him and looked at the dead deer that was covered in the scars as it bled from the claw and bite marks on his body. Woof? Hattie woofed as if asking me how it did. He was just exhausted as there isn't any wound on his body because of the protection rune. You did a good job, but you can do better, I said as I saw the deer turn into drops. Crystal deer fur, crystal deer fur. It's very comfortable and very popular among royalty and nobles. It has some cold resistance, but the effect is very small. This can be used to make into a nice coat for the winter season, not that I will need it, I thought as I looked at the white fur that was soft and soothing to touch. Crystal deer meat, crystal deer meat. It goes well with a variety of dishes. It's very easy to eat because it has little fat and is fresh. I'll just give it to Graphia, she will figure out what to do with the meat. I placed it inside my item box as I thought, oh, leaving this to Graphia. Crystal deer's twin antlers, crystal deer's antlers. The horns are special crystals called flame crystal and aqua crystal, which are traded at a very high price. It can be transformed into a magical weapon called magic weapon. These can be useful, especially in making alchemy equipment. Maybe I should kill some more crystal deers. It is a useful drop nonetheless. Magic stone, rank S, a special ore that can be obtained from magical beasts. Ultra luxurious portable outdoor bath set, a rare drop item that can be obtained from the crystal deer. A bath that you can take with you. You can easily enjoy various types of baths, such as cypress, stone, jacuzzi, and electric baths everywhere. You can also choose the effect of the tub. The bathtub and water are always clean, so no cleaning or maintenance is required. It also has privacy protection and can be wrapped in a special veil that is not visible from the outside. I looked at the cube-like object in my hand and nodded. I have to kill more crystal deer after all. I nodded because his drops is useful in many things that I will be making. Chapter 32, Sage of this World. After updating my checklist to add about hunting more crystal deers, I looked at Hattie, who was looking at me. Are you hungry? I asked him, and he cried out while nodding. Okay, then let's grill some meat as I need a snack as well. I was a bit hungry at the moment, but I didn't want to cook myself. That maid of yours is spoiling you rotten. A voice with an annoyed tone sounded in my head. That is true, Graphia has been spoiling me a bit too much lately. She isn't even letting me get up from the sofa. You think so as well? I asked the voice but didn't get an answer. But I expected it, so I didn't say anything. I placed the table in a clearing that wasn't that far away from here and prepared the deer meat, cutting it into small chunks and marinating it with spices and condiments. Then lit a fire using the flame crystal from the deer and some fallen branches and placed the grill on top of it. Then I cooked the meat on it. The smell was really good. Then I looked to my right and then focused on cooking again. Woof! Woof! Hattie was jumping around as he smelled the meat. Wait a bit, it still isn't cooked, I said in my usual tone, and he listened as he stood in place wagging his tail from left to right. After the meat was grilled, I picked it and placed it in a bowl and placed it in front of the drooling Hattie, who dived straight into the bowl and ate, while crying out happily. I focused on the rest of the meat and tried a piece. It was full of juices and quite tasty. The meat wasn't greasy but had a light flavor and it felt like it was melting in my mouth. All in all, it was tasty. After we ate all of the deer meat that I prepared, which was only around 2 kilograms because I didn't feel that hungry, and Hattie ate most of it. I picked up the table and Hattie was lying down on the ground with a satisfied expression. I sat down for a bit as I was going over my plan on what to do because I have to go to school in a week to get some things, and it is seriously going to be a pain in the neck now because my appearance has changed so much. Although I don't care, the annoying part is going to be me getting surrounded by the female students. Like that hasn't happened enough, you should have gotten used to it by now, that is how it has always been. The voice in my head said. That is right, and you are talking to me again? I asked the voice. And no response came. Good grief, don't just make a guest appearance and vanish on me now, I thought as I sighed after I didn't get any response and saw Hattie sniffing my legs. Woof! Hattie cried out as it ran towards the right suddenly after sniffing me. What happened to him now? I muttered while following him, and he continued for about 5 minutes till he stopped near a cave. Woof! I walked in to follow Hattie, who went straight in after he saw me following him, and a skeleton in a robe is sitting, leaning against the innermost wall with no sign of movement at all. It isn't a lich but a normal corpse. No, the skeleton is emanating a huge amount of magic for someone dead. It is a wonder how it hasn't turned into a lich at this point. I thought as I walked near the skeleton. Woof! Hattie cried out as it came near me with a book in his mouth. I kneeled to take the book from his mouth and stroked his head as he cried out in delight. This kid is a bit too cute, I thought as I opened the book after I checked for any signs of magic on it, and there wasn't any magic used on the book. The cover of the book said the sage's book. A sage, huh? If I assume it is this person sitting here, then this person isn't a normal existence, then it is no wonder he hasn't become a lich. As sages are special existences that have the blessing from the holy faction and the world itself, they can't turn into undead after they die, though there can be exceptions to this. Whatever. I thought as I looked at the supposed sage. To those who have reached this point, the sage. That's what was written on the first page. I turned the page and more words were written on it. Well, I know this is sudden, but let's talk about the past. It's my past. I know it's boring, but listen to me. I could do anything. Yes, ever since I was born. There was nothing I couldn't do. Magic, swordsmanship, cooking, singing, painting, blacksmithing. I could really do everything in this world. And I had the power to master it, too. As a result, I stepped into God's realm while I was alive. It was one of my few astonishing events. The gods encouraged me to become a god directly. Well, the other people would have gladly accepted it. After all, if you agree, you will be able to join the divinity and gain immortality. Before this, even if I could revive the dead, I couldn't become an immortal. But I refused. Those around me were surprised, and some of them scolded me for being arrogant. But I still refused. I've talked about this at length, but there is one thing I would like to tell you as you read this book. You are good enough to be able to come to this place. I'm not sure how you perceive that, now that I'm dead. I don't know what you think of other people. I don't know, but it will eventually make those around you afraid, like me. It may be an afterthought, but like someone who had lived in a strange life because of my talents. I don't want you to lead a life like mine. I haven't told you why I refused to become a god, have I? It's because I wanted to die as a person. I, who could do anything and reach the divinity while I was alive, could only die as a person, in this way. I don't want you to end up in the same position. It's truly selfish of me. So this man was born with immense talent and stepped into the realm of gods. But when he was invited to join the gods, he rejected it. Are there still gods in this world? If there are, then it will be troublesome, but it doesn't look like they are corrupted like the ones from my world. To ask a human to join their ranks, the ones from my world only saw mortal races as pawns and playthings while maintaining a facade of caring for our survival, while enjoying seeing us in peril. Many things are going through my mind when I read this, but the main thing that caught my attention was death as a human, is it? I muttered softly and sighed. Sigh asterisk. I sighed heavily while staring at the ground silently. Don't be a downer all the time. You did what was needed to be done. If you are going to regret it now, then all the suffering you went through was for nothing. The voice in my head said. It feels a bit weird when you try to console me, you know. After all, you did choose me because of the hatred you felt from me. I said to the voice in my head. That is right, because you were the only one who could have fulfilled my purpose. But I don't want to see you drowning yourself in your past that you can't change, and I am sure that woman doesn't want you to live like this as well. You know there wasn't any other choice for you. So thinking about it now isn't going to change anything, and don't forget that it was her last wish. The voice sounded again. Blunt as always, I see, though it doesn't help in this case. Because there was a different way, it was just that I wasn't strong enough. I said as I stroked Hattie's head, who was looking at me with curious eyes. TCH, why are you acting like this? Don't you know the truth already? I am still angry about what you did before. Why did you even do that? Why did you even try to save her? I don't even want to talk to you. The voice questioned in an annoyed and angry tone. You are awfully talkative for someone who doesn't want to talk. And I would have died anyway. I just chose a way where it would matter the most. The things we love are often ones that cause our own demise, don't they? I said back in a melancholic tone. Don't pretend like you don't know anything. You act like you have nothing to do with the world, but you still interact with others when you can just stay hidden. The voice said back in an angry tone. Good grief, still the same, at least you didn't change. I thought as I looked at the book again, because I know there won't be an answer to what I said. I turned the page to see more words. It's a bit scary, but to solve this is simple. Well, for someone other than me. The answer is to get someone you can trust. It could be a friend, a lover, or a parent. Make someone who will lay everything on the line and still be there for you. I was good at building relationships when I was alive, but I didn't get someone to expose everything like that. If you have the time, don't be afraid and look for such a person positively. You aren't wrong about this. If you don't have a purpose or someone to live with, living eternally isn't going to be a blessing but rather torture, where you see everything that matters to you disappear before your very eyes and you can't do anything. But things never go as we plan them, now do they? I thought as I looked at the book. Thank you for keeping me company this far, and I apologize for that, but I'll write one thing you want to know in this book. This was what was written in the last line. Interesting, I thought as I flipped the page. Chapter 33, I know. The person who is reading this. I don't know what type of being you are, or where you came from. I can't see through you, nor can I predict what you would do. This is the first time that I had failed at something. Though I regret that I can't meet you personally. But I hope this helps you. The person you are looking for is still alive. I hope you can get to meet the one you want to. This is my wish as someone who didn't have anyone to share my life with. I wish you could get what you want, and don't end up like me. So much for saying that you would tell me something I want to know. You are just telling me what I already know of. I thought in my head as I flipped the page. I know you are disappointed in me, but I can't do anything as this is the first time I have failed. And I don't want to try peeking into your past again, as I nearly got turned into stone this time. If that being didn't let me go, I would have died early. Talk about scary. I've packed all of my magic theories into this continuation. However, I don't know if it will be useful to you or not. No, on the contrary, it might be a waste. Although it might not be of much use to you, I have done what I can. Your magic circuit is also incomplete. I know you are well aware of what it is, but still. Simply put, it's like a blood vessel. Humans in this world produce not only blood but also magic power from their hearts, and it runs through their entire body. Therefore, you can't use magic with an incomplete circuit, at least in this world. Therefore, I will give you my magic circuit. Yeah, I don't exist anymore. My magic circuit is so precious that it can be said to be a treasure of this world. It would be better for you to use it than just to make it disappear. Cheeky human, the voice in my head said. Pity he died. I can revive him. But I don't want to disrespect his choice of dying. And is he talking about you? I can't think of someone else with that description. I affirmed, as well as this guy is interesting enough for me to take him as a disciple. I am still mad at you, so I am not telling you. The voice said in a feisty tone. Good grief, I replied in my usual tone. I had been turning the pages by hand before, but the book jumped out of my hand and was fixed in the air, and the pages were being turned more and more. Then, as the page stopped, a large number of characters that I had never seen before emerged there and jumped off the page. The string of letters undulates like a snake. It's crawled up from my feet to all over my body. The characters filled from the top of my head to the toes of my feet, eventually covering my entire body and disappearing into my body. At that moment, my heart felt like it was on fire. I felt like molten lava was running through my veins and bones as my whole body ached. Ouch, I said in a flat tone as I concentrated and merged my magic circuit with the one that was merging with my body. Although it is dangerous to do this with my current body, I thought, but I still carried on with it. Why do it when it is risky? Idiot, the voice said. Why settle for copper when you can have a diamond? I said to the voice in my head, and after 30 minutes I succeeded in completing my new magic circuit. Few asterisk. The process went through smoothly. There were some complications, but it was okay. I stood up as I felt my complete magic circuit, and walked outside of the cave and looked at the blue sky. Woof! Hattie followed me out and stood beside me. Let's try this, I said as I swiped my hand through the air in a wide horizontal arc. And a large wind blade formed and moved towards the trees. Swish asterisk. Slash asterisk. Splash asterisk. Everything was cut in the distance of 500 meters in front of me. It didn't matter what it was. That was a normal wind elemental magic. Wind blade. It isn't about flashy moves but the proficiency and the amount of magic. If the user has enough training, the normal looking spells can be really deadly, but only training can't get you this result. Thud asterisk. Then the trees, rocks, and monsters fell down to the ground as a large area was cleared, and I looked at the monsters turn into drops. I tapped my feet on the ground, and all the drops gathered in front of me with vines dropping them near my feet and arranging trees on one side. I have some use for those trees, so after I placed all the trees and drops inside my item box, there were 10 B rank stones with 5 A ranks and 1 S rank stone, some with crystal deer being the S rank monster. I nodded as I placed the antlers inside my item box, and then I looked at the clearing that I just made. This place isn't that far from my house, so it should be good, I thought as I looked at my map. This place is a 10-minute walk from my house. I closed my map and walked inside after I tapped my feet on the ground again, and the trees that were cut down grew up instantly. I did this because no one was watching me now, and looked at the dumbfounded Hattie. "Come on, boy, you will be able to do that much as well," I said as I picked up the confused Hattie. "Woof?" he cried out in disbelief. "Although I still need to strengthen this body, or it might break down from the stress of using magic, as I use the natural mana that is in the air, resulting in the unnatural strength of the spell." I walked back thinking about how to about doing things from now on, as there are gods in this world. Whether they are good or not isn't something I care about. If they get in my way, they get killed, that's all. "It is good that you haven't lost that sensibility of yours," the voice answered back. That is what I can do. I have a promise to keep after all," I answered back in my flat tone. "Whatever you want to be shut in," the voice said back with a snarky tone, then didn't answer again. I walked inside the cave and tapped my feet on the ground to make a 6 feet deep grave for the sage of this world and let him rest properly after I made a tombstone for him. I walked deeper inside the cave and reached a staircase, then walked down. After 5 minutes I reached a cave system that was filled with natural mana. I looked around and walked straight towards the glowing metal that was stuck out of the cave wall. I appraised it, and magic mithril, or a mithril, or that has been exposed to the high level of natural mana, increasing the quality of the metal to the next level. It can only be melted down by the dwarves' secret technique. As I thought there was too much natural mana gathered in one place, and that sage placed a barrier here so that the mana doesn't leak out of this place, and dwarves, huh? I expected as much, I said in my monotone voice as I looked around to see similar ores in the walls. I nodded and mined some of them for my use as I walked back up the stairs and reached the outside of the cave entrance, as Hattie jumped off from my hands and ran around the place. I called my status to check it. Tenji Yuya. Race, human. Occupation? Level, 600. Magic, 17,500. Attack, 13,500. Defense, 13,500. Agility, 14,000. Intelligence, 12,500. Luck, 15,000. BP, 10,000. Skills, Appraisal, Enhanced Endurance, Item Box, True Martial Arts, Max, Primordial Rune, Max, Magic Resistance, Max, Physical Resistance, Max, Cooking, Max, Household Chores, Max, Sewing, Max, Drawing, Max, Presence Detection, 9, Fast Reading, Dodge, Weakness Detection, Assimilation, Tame, Mind-Body Unification, Mental Enhancement, Alchemy 5, Blacksmithing 3. Titles: God Slayer, Spearman of the Abyss, Master of the Door, Master of the House, Otherworlder, Person who visited a different world for the first time. True Martial Arts, can use every weapon in unarmed combat masterfully. Map, it will show you the map of places you visited once. Dodge, it's easier to avoid the opponent's attack. Tame, you can make a monster your companion with a certain probability. Mind-Body Unification, it unifies the mind and body and gives you more control over your own body. I looked at my status, which has gone up by a good amount in the past week, and distributed the BP. Tenji Yuya. Race, human. Occupation? Level, 600. Magic, 19,500. Attack, 15,500. Defense, 15,500. Agility, 16,000. Intelligence, 14,500. Luck, 15,000. BP 0. Skills, Appraisal, Enhanced Endurance, Item Box, True Martial Arts, Max, Primordial Rune, Max, Magic Resistance, Max, Physical Resistance, Max, Cooking, Max, Household Chores, Max, Sewing, Max, Drawing, Max, Presence Detection, 9, Fast Reading, Dodge, Weakness Detection, Assimilation, Tame, Mind-Body Unification, Mental Enhancement, Alchemy 5, Blacksmithing 3. Titles: God Slayer, Spearman of the Abyss, Master of the Door, Master of the House, Otherworlder, person who visited a different world for the first time? Okay, now let's go back home. I muttered as I looked at Hattie, who was running after a butterfly. Woof! He cried cutely and came towards me as we walked back home slowly. After reaching the cabin, I entered the door with Hattie following me and came out in the bathroom after I checked if Grafia was there or not, and she wasn't, so I walked out of the bathroom and then walked towards the living room where I felt Grafia was. Welcome back, Master. Please sit down and let me get you some refreshments. Grafia, who was using the laptop, stood up and walked toward the kitchen. She was still wearing her maid outfit. And I sat down on the sofa to look at the time. It was 5 p.m. currently, and I leaned back into the backrest of the sofa. Chapter 34, A Normal Day. Grafia came in and placed the cold orange juice on the table, then stood beside me as she looked at Hattie with curiosity. Thank you, Grafia, I said in my usual tone and drank the juice. After I finished it, I looked back at Grafia, who was still standing silently. Grafia, this is Hattie. He will be staying with us from now on, I said in my flat tone as I stroked Hattie's head. Certainly, Master, Grafia said, but she looked at Hattie, who flinched a little, then looked at me again. Is something wrong? I asked her. No, Master. Would you like to eat today's dinner early? She asked me as nothing happened. Yes, I have to go early tomorrow morning. And use this however you want, I said as picked up my laptop after I gave her the Orc King's meat. Then I will prepare the dinner, Master, she said as she walked inside the kitchen with the meat in her hand. Why are you so tense? I asked Hattie, who was still shaking a bit. Woof! He cried out as plopped down on the sofa. I shook my head as I looked at the comments after I posted the chapters 1 head for today. The novel has reached chapters 22 and 24 if you include the prologue and the interlude. The last chapter for the first arc of Re:0 has been posted today. The first arc is about Natsuki Subaru's arrival in the new, mysterious world he has been summoned to. There, in the kingdom of Lugnica, he decided to help a silver-haired, amethyst-eyed girl with recovering her stolen insignia. However, he ends up being murdered by someone, but returns from his death, and decides to use this ability to save that girl from her predestined death. This is the summary of the first arc. This web novel is making waves on the internet, with many reviews that range from good to bad, but the bad ones were negligible, and so stupid that people didn't pay them any attention. The web novel version of Re:0 has been successful with over 5 million views, and it is still climbing. The demand for ACG culture in this world is really high, but the supply isn't enough. I posted on Twitter that the one arc of Re:0 ended today, just to let the publishing companies know that now is the best time if they want to make the most of the opportunity. And to make them act fast, I already have 2 companies in mind, and all I have to do is set a date for the meeting. And I got a DM on Twitter. It was from Taki, a popular blogger. Taki, thank you for the amazing arc, Tenji-sensei. And thank you for letting me make a full review about the first arc. There is no need to thank me. It is also thanks to you that many people are reading the web novel. Taki, you are embarrassing me. Tenji-sensei, the novel is so good that I am sure people will read it even without me telling them to. You okay then, but thank you once again. Taki, oh, thank you as well. The person I talked to is one of the most respected bloggers in the ACG community on the internet. From what I know, every novel he promoted was out of his own personal recommendation. He never takes money to promote any work, and does it on his own accord. He messaged me 2 days ago to ask me if he can make a review on my book, and post it on his blog. I had no problem with it, and I even gave him the complete first arc so that he can read ahead. Of course, this is a measured move as the person in question is a reputable person, so I don't have to worry about him posting the chapters, and even if he does, I can easily fix it. He can get the novel proper attention, so why not use the opportunity and make it bigger? I was looking at the comments for the new chapter and placed my laptop on the table and walked towards the bathroom with Hattie, who was a bit confused as to what was happening at the moment. Grafia, I'm going to take a bath, I said as I passed by the kitchen. Okay, Master, are you taking Hattie with you? Grafia paused as she turned around. Yes, I don't know how long he has been in the wild, so I have to give him a good wash, I said as I looked at Hattie, who was shivering for some reason, and I looked at Grafia, who was looking at him. Grafia, is everything alright? I asked her because she was acting a bit differently since I came back. No, Master, everything is fine. Then I'll continue making dinner, Grafia said with a smile as she busied herself again. I pity this kid a bit, the voice in my head said. Why? I asked. And there was no answer again. I looked at Grafia, who was immersed in her cooking with her back towards me, and walked towards my bathroom. I removed my clothes and looked at the bathtub. It's too small, I muttered as I sighed, then I took out a cube from my item box. It was the ultra-luxurious outdoor bath set. Geez, talk about a tiring name. I thought as I filled the cube with my magic and saw a status screen appear in front of me. It had a list of different types of baths. Japanese cypress, hinoki, bath. Salt bath. Onsen. Electric bath. I'll go with the hinoki bath, and I should rebuild this house soon. There are many inconveniences here, the bath being one of them. I thought, and the cube expanded, and a luxurious hinoki bath that can hold up to 10 people appeared in front of me as a veil covered us. Woof! Hattie cried out in surprise as he tried to run away. You aren't going anywhere. Come with me. I don't want you to litter around the house, I said as I pulled this wolf cub under the shower and washed him with the body soap that was inside the bath set. I also washed my head and body after I was done with Hattie was whining on the ground. And after washing my body thoroughly, I settled into the steamy hot bath with Hattie. Who would have thought that you are a girl, huh? I said as I wiped Hattie slowly. Woof woof woof. She whimpered as if saying you didn't listen. Come on now, don't put that much thought into it, I said in my usual tone as I wiped my body and wore a white t-shirt and purple pajamas. I didn't know you were a lolicon. The voice in my head sounded. What are you talking about? I was really lost at the moment. Just go away, I don't want to talk to you, the voice said and fell silent. I shrugged my shoulder as I walked out of the bath with Hattie following me as we walked towards the kitchen to see Grafia placing the food on the table. Master, please sit down and eat the food while it is still hot, Grafia said as she asked for my towel and I gave it to her. It has been the normal routine. Then I'll eat, come back quickly, I said as she takes a lot of time when she goes to put the towel in the wash basket. I will, master, and Hattie's food is by the foot of the table, so make sure you eat it, Grafia said as she looked at Hattie who hid behind my leg. What is happening here? Does she not like pets or something? I am seriously confused. Asterisk. The voice inside my head sighed heavily and I sat down as Grafia did her normal routine as I ate the stew she made from the vegetable from the other world with Orc King's meat, and Grafia came back quickly this time. And we ate as we do every day silently, which is lost when Marin comes over. The food was delicious as always, I said as I stood up. Woof! Hattie also chimed in as he licked his bowl clean. You dirtied your face, come here, I said as I squatted down and wiped Hattie's face, which was smeared with sauce. Woof! She cried out as I wiped her face. Clank asterisk. I looked behind to see a spoon dropped on the floor as Grafia was petrified on the spot. What happened, Grafia? I asked her, causing her to break out of her daze as she coughed and picked up the spoon with a light blush. I was thinking about something and my hand slipped. Sorry, master, she said as she bowed a little. Don't mind it. I waved my hand as I stood up. Just take care of yourself, all right, I said as I walked towards the corridor. I will, master, Grafia said as she continued her work and walked towards the living room and sat down on the sofa with Hattie curling up into a ball right next to me and looks like she fell asleep. I wrote some chapters and Grafia came in as she stood beside me as always. After some hours I stood up and stretched my body. Master, would you like a massage? Grafia asked. I would love it, I said as my body was a bit stiff after I got my magic circuit. The painful process and the usage of pure natural mana strained my body a bit. Then I'll prepare master's room, Grafia said with a slight smile and went towards my room as I picked up Hattie, then walked towards my room as well. I saw Grafia standing near my bed and looked at me as I entered. Master, please lay down on your stomach, she said, and I placed Hattie on the bed, then took off my t-shirt and lay down on the bed. Then Grafia started massing my body and I fell asleep during the massage again and had the same dream again. What is this? I felt something soft on my body as I regained my senses. I am a really heavy sleeper when I know that I am not in danger, so it is hard for me to wake up. I opened my heavy eyelids to see. Chapter 35, Evil? Master, I was about to wake you up, Grafia said as she saw me open my eyes. Yes, I have to go somewhere. YWN asterisk. I yawned as I picked up Hattie, who was sleeping on my chest, and placed her on the bed. I looked at Grafia, who was looking at Hattie, causing her to flinch and wake up to look around her. Hattie was on edge as Grafia looked at her. Is that a new way to wake up someone? I thought as Grafia looked at me with a slight smile. Okay, master, please freshen up, I'll get the breakfast ready, Grafia said as she walked out of the room after I nodded. Okay, calm down, she isn't a bad person, I said as I patted Hattie, who looked at me. Woof? She cried out asking if I was sure, and I smiled lightly as I climbed down from my bed, which doesn't help with nightmares at all. I sighed in my mind as I washed my face and walked towards the kitchen with Hattie following me. I sat down at the table to eat breakfast, which is French toast and coffee. And Grafia gave Hattie her breakfast, and then sat down to eat with me. "Thank you," I said as I ate the food and then looked at the time. It is already 7 a.m. while they can wait. I thought as I finished my coffee and stood up to take a quick shower. After changing into the clothes I took from the cabin, I walked towards the secret door with Grafia and Hattie following me. "Then, Master, I hope you have a nice day," Grafia said as we reached the door. "Why are you saying that you are coming with me?" I said to her, causing her eyes to widen a little and the edges of her lips to turn upwards slightly. "Do you have something to do?" I asked her. "No, Master, I don't. So please order me as you like," Grafia said as she bowed. I don't know if she is saying it like that on purpose or not. The voice in my head said, "You are confused as well." I answered back and then looked at Grafia. "Then follow me," I said as I turned around. "Okay, Master," she said, and we walked through the door to arrive inside the cabin, where I changed into the armor I got from the Bloody Orge. I'll make some for myself when I get used to blacksmithing more. "Then let's go," I said as I looked at Grafia, who was still in her maid uniform with the black moon necklace around her neck. After she heard me, she nodded, and we walked outside of the barrier around the house and into the thick forest. I was looking at the map to check the area, and Hattie was looking around curiously. "Gwaya asterisk," and an orc king suddenly jumped towards us, and he froze on the spot and turned into an ice statue, and I saw Grafia was looking at the orc king then. Bang asterisk. The statue broke into tiny pieces. It was something I expected, so I didn't pay it any attention. And we continued walking. "You know it is about time you come out," I said as I looked to my right. Third-person POV. Outside the Great Devil's Nest, there were a lot of people wearing armor and gathered together surrounding a luxurious-looking carriage. And 3 people stood near the carriage. "Where is the person you were talking about?" the woman with wolf-cut peach-colored hair asked as she looked at the blonde teenage girl who was standing near a luxurious-looking carriage as more than 50 soldiers secured the perimeter. "Yuya-sama must be on his way, right, Owen?" the blonde-haired girl answered back as she looked at the middle-aged man that was standing beside her. "Lexia-sama is right. As Yuya-dano lives deep inside the forest, he must be on his way, and he will surely come, Sword Saint-sama," the man named Owen said. "Okay, then we'll wait a bit," the Sword Saint Iris Noblade said as she looked around. "It is for my marriage. This is nothing. I can wait here all day," Iris thought in her head. Bayonig asterisk. The ground trembled as the soldiers were knocked off their feet and fell to the ground. "KYA asterisk." Lexia screamed as she lost her balance, but Owen supported her. "Thank you all. What happened? Why do you look so pale?" "Sword Saint, Sama." Lexia panicked a little as she looked at the strongest person here, because that was the only thing she could do. "Why can't I be helpful? Even after I work so hard, why do I have to be a burden for others?" Lexia thought as tears formed in her eyes as she saw Iris Noblade, who is the strongest holy, was looking towards the Great Devil's Nest, and boom asterisk, boom asterisk, boom asterisk, boom. With another series of shockwaves that shook the ground, something flew in their direction and landed on the ground. Banan gag asterisk. Or more, it fell on the ground like a meteorite, leaving a big crater and a cloud of dust in its wake. The thing that fell on the ground stood up and AR rabbit. "Am I hallucinating?" Lexia stuttered as she looked at the scene. "Kicking Saint, what are doing here? And why did you fall here like this?" Iris said as she moved towards the Kicking Saint. Her words gave the people present another shock as they were standing in front of a second holy, and the holy was a rabbit. "Sword Saint, now isn't the time for greeting, we have to stop that thing," the rabbit said with urgency in his voice. "What are you talking about? What is that thing you are talking about?" Iris asked, but she had already drawn her sword as she looked in the direction from where the rabbit flew from and saw a man walk out of the forest with a spear in his hand. Iris was looking at the man slack-jawed. The reason being how handsome the man is and his demeanor with that noble aura that she had only felt from kings, and even the many kings she has met failed in comparison. She couldn't believe a man like this exists. "Wait, do I look alright? Are my clothes weird? I should check my appearance." Iris was in her own mind. "Yuya-sama-ea," Lexia shouted as she saw the man walk out of the forest. Is that the man she was talking about?" Iris was both shocked and overjoyed when she looked at Yuya. Kicking Saint, I think you have made a mistake. That guy is the disciple of Magic Saint. I came here to meet him and see if he is worthy of being a saint's disciple. Iris said as she avoided Kicking Saint's eyes at the end. He can't be Magic Saint's student. He is evil and he is really strong as well. Kicking Saint said as he looked at the Iris who was looking down while mumbling. Why? Just when I saw some hope, why does this happen? Why? I want to get married, why is it so hard? Just when I found someone promising. No, this has to be a misunderstanding. That man can't be evil. Yes, I'll convince Kicking Saint. Yes. Iris was mumbling. Sword Saint, now isn't the time for this. We have to kill him now. The rabbit said and broke Iris out of her daze. Ha, okay, kill him. Why, you damn bastard, I just found such a good candidate, and you want me to kill him? How about I kill you, huh? Iris shouted as she glared at the rabbit, forgetting her intention to persuade him. Sword Saint, this isn't the time to talk about your marriage, can't you feel it? The rabbit said as he pointed at Yuya with his ears as his mouth twitched because of what he heard. What are you talking about? I am looking at him pro-dash. Iris stopped mid-sentence, and her eyes widened. Are you kidding me? He is an evil and a really powerful one. Iris thought as she gripped the handle of her sword tightly. As she felt the dark aura that was inside the man's body. Have you come to your senses? That thing can be anything but human. We can't let that thing live or the consequences will be bad. The rabbit said as he got into his stance. I feel I am standing in front of Snake that can devour me anytime. But we can do it. With the Sword Saint and me we can defeat this evil. The rabbit thought. Why is my luck so bad? I found a promising candidate, and he turned out to be an evil. Am I destined to live alone while taking care of cats? Iris was crying inside her heart as she looked at Yuya. Everyone else was too stunned to even talk at the moment as they looked at the scene with their mouths agape. You know, attacking someone after stalking them for days isn't something a creature with friendly intention would do. Yuya spoke in his monotone voice as he propped the spear on his shoulder and looked at the two who were ready to fight. I have no intention of talking to an evil. The rabbit said as Iris got ready to attack. What evil are you talking about here? Well, it doesn't matter, you attacked me. That is all that matters. Yuya said. He looked at two with his empty blue eyes. Are they mistaking me for someone else? Evil, that is what the rabbit called me when he attacked me earlier. Yuya thought as he looked at Lexia, who was looking at him with tears in her eyes while thrashing around to run here, but she was stopped by Owen. Why are they fighting Yuya-sama? Wasn't he a disciple of a fellow saint? No, please don't hurt him. Lexia was crying as she looked at the two saints, and she felt her head hurt as an immeasurable pain passed through her head. Chapter 36, Bonus Chapter, Fight. Grafia and Hattie are safe as well, so let's get this thing out of the way. You two are really strong in front of the current me, I'll give them that, but the difference of strength has never stopped me before. Yuya thought as 6 runes on his body shone. With 2 on his forehead, the first one read Canastin, which increases his visual ability to perceive the surroundings and predict the attacks, with the second one Legis, to increase my destructive power and enhance the first rune. 2 on his chest, with the first one that read I was, used to increase his endurance and increasing his defenses, and the second one being Thurisaz, Thorn, which increased his regeneration in every aspect. With 2 runes on the sole of his feet to increase his speed and mobility, Yuya looked at the duo of rabbit and human who were looking at him, and they took their combat form. Looks like you can't escape from your bad luck after all. The voice in Yuya's head said in an amused tone. You don't have to rub it in. Yuya answered back in his mind as he assumed a combat stance and the tension in the air reached a breaking point. Bang asterisk whoosh asterisk. The rabbit launched himself towards Yuya as the ground where he was standing cracked, and he was in front of Yuya almost instantly as he kicked, aiming at Yuya's head. But moved back as if he knew what was going to happen, and the rabbit went past him. But then... whoosh asterisk slash asterisk. Iris appeared in front of Yuya and slashed her sword in a straight downward slash towards Yuya's head. That is a powerful attack. Yuya thought as he moved his spear in a clockwise direction, and his spear tip hit the incoming sword. Clank asterisk. The sound of the weapons colliding echoed in the surroundings as sparks flew out in all directions, and Iris's attack was tilted towards the right side as it passed by Yuya's right shoulder with a hair's breadth. What? Iris was shocked, but it didn't end there as she saw the tail of the spear was heading towards her midriff at a dangerous pace. This is bad. Iris could feel the damage that spear will cause as she moved her sword upward and blocked the incoming spear in a hurry. Clank asterisk. And when the weapons collided for a second time, and Iris was blown away from her position, and the ground cracked with rocks flying all over the place. Iris landed and saw the kicking saint attacking Yuya with a barrage of kicks, but his attacks were either dodged or parried. Boom asterisk boom asterisk boom asterisk boom asterisk boom asterisk boom asterisk. Their skirmish caused a lot of shockwaves, and the surrounding area was destroyed, and the ground was cracked in a spiderweb pattern as rocks flew out. Then Iris joined in and attacked again in tandem with the kicking saint, but their attacks only hit empty air as Yuya dodged them, and then the kicking saint attacked Yuya's back but was met with the tail of the spear in his flank as he was launched in the air. The spear was stopped by a barrier, but the barrier shattered into pieces. What? How? The kicking saint said as his barrier was broken. Yuya looked at Iris, who was attacking him with continuous slashes, and parried them with his spear as he waited for an opening. Clank asterisk clank asterisk clank asterisk clank asterisk. Yuya thrust his spear at Iris, who blocked it with her sword, but then a small ball of wind formed on the blade of the spear and expanded. KUH. Iris felt a great impact as her body was thrown in the air. Iris stabilized herself in the air and landed on the ground, and the rabbit came near her. It is like he can see through all of our attacks in advance. And that spear is dangerous as well, it can break through magic defenses. The rabbit said as he looked at Yuya. Iris didn't say anything as her heart was bleeding at the moment. Damn it, why does he have to be an enemy? Just when I found a promising candidate for marriage, WHYYYYYYYYYYYY. Iris shouted in her mind as her eyes became fierce. Then she shot out and unleashed a flurry of slashes at Yuya. He moved his spear slowly and parried all of her slashes. Although their attacks might look slow, but it was by no means slow. No one present was able to see the attacks. They can only see blurred images sometimes, and only hear the sound of weapons hitting each other. Clank asterisk clank asterisk clank asterisk clank asterisk. The sound of metal colliding could be heard all over the place as red and white streaks of light passed by all over the place. The rabbit interjected in between the clash as he tried to kick Yuya multiple times, but Yuya dodged his attacks every time. I can't attack them recklessly. Although I have strengthened my body with runes and magic, it is still only a 30% increase. It is still far from their speed and strength. Unless... Yuya thought as he parried Iris's thrust that was aimed at his chest and guided it away from him. Clank asterisk. The sound of weapons colliding rang out as sparks flew all over the place. Yuya swung his spear towards Iris, but she blocked it with her sword, but she was blown away by the impact of the attack. That isn't happening, and you shouldn't use it. The voice in Yuya's head answered. Okay, then I guess I'll have to be careful. Yuya answered back. It is good that you know. The voice said as it fell silent again. How can he have such strength? Iris thought as she looked at her trembling hand. Blessing of the West Wind. Yuya used a spell in Elven script as a gentle wind enveloped his body, increasing his speed. But Yuya moved this time as he moved swiftly, closing the distance and thrusting his spear forward toward the rabbit's midsection. The kicking saint was too shocked about the quickness of the attack. Whoosh asterisk. The thrust tore through the air as it moved quickly, and the rabbit jumped up to avoid the attack, and Yuya swung his spear upward vertically towards the kicking saint, catching him off guard. Holy kicking wave, holy ear impact, the kick saint said as his right foot was covered in light, and he kicked at the spear that was coming towards him. Boom asterisk. The ground cracked under the pressure of the collision as both Yuya and kick saint was knocked back. Yuya jumped back after he got his footing in. Slash asterisk bang asterisk. Iris's attack hit the ground, and she looked at Yuya, who was looking at her with his blank eyes. He was able to dodge even that. Seriously, why do we have to be enemies? Iris thought as she saw Yuya move his spear at blinding speed as he thrust at her from multiple angles. Both of them collided at high speed, and small cuts started to appear on Iris's body as she pushed back and tried to attack faster. But her attacks were drowned in the constant slashes and thrusts from Yuya. She was having a hard time reaching him. The magic barrier is like a paper wall in front of him. Iris thought as the magic barrier that she was using to protect herself was cut in multiple places. Cool, it's like he has 6 arms. Iris thought as she looked at the young man that was suppressing her. Single sword flash. Iris used a super fast slash and hit the spear in Yuya's hand. Clank asterisk. The spear was knocked off to the side as Yuya was a bit unstable. Now, both Iris and Kicking Saint moved at the same time and attacked Yuya. Storm of the South Wind. Yuya said in the Elven script as a windstorm as big as Tokyo's Skytree, 634 m. kicked up around Yuya, covering him and knocking both saints back. The winds were violent, destroying the ground trees. Everything that came into contact was grounded into dust. It was fortunate that everyone was watching from a distance, or their death wouldn't be pretty. When the storm subsided, Yuya stood in the center, as he looked at the saint duo who had their mouths agape. This isn't normal. Kicking Saint said, as a magic spell of that level isn't something you can just pull out of your ass. It takes preparations to use a magic spell of that scale. See, he is Magic Saint's disciple for sure, we shouldn't attack him, Iris said, trying to convince Kicking Saint. But he is an evil before he is a disciple of Saint. You should know that even the Magic Saint will kill him if he knows that he turned into an evil, the Kicking Saint said. But I don't want him to die. It is the first time I have met a man who has all of the qualities I want. Why is it like this? Iris thought as she was lost at the moment, but she knew that this matter was of urgency, so she shoved the thoughts into the back of her head. Sword Saint, we need to coordinate properly, the rabbit said as Iris nodded and got into a stance. I have read their attack patterns, now time to end this, Yuya thought as he looked at the two in front of him. The 3 divine steps, the rabbit said as he disappeared from his position and appeared near Yuya, then did a forward somersault, dropping a heel kick on his head. Yuya sidestepped to the left as he dodged the kick and it landed on the ground. Boom asterisk. How? The rabbit was in disbelief as this was the first time this skill was dodged by someone, but he only saw those black eyes looking at him, and it scared him to look back at those eyes. Sword flash. With a tender shout, Iris released a horizontal slash on Yuya's back. Yuya crouched as he dodged the attack and swept his spear in a wide arc. The blade of his spear was about to hit her midriff. Shit! If this attack lands, I'd be heavily injured, Iris shouted in her mind. Chapter 37, Hesitation? But Yuya used the flat side of the blade, hitting Iris in her flank and sending her flying more than 1 kilometer as she rolled on the ground. GHHH asterisk. Iris grimaced at the power behind the attack and felt glad that it wasn't the blade that hit her. He could have heavily injured me, then why did he miss on purpose? Iris thought as she stood up again. Why did you tell me to not kill her? Yuya asked inside his head. I talked to the will of the world. She said that they had misunderstood you with the so-called evil and begged me to not kill them, or many people might die and the world will be in peril. The voice answered back. So, do you think I should spare them? Yuya asked as he dodged the combined attack of the holy. He was moving his body slightly and jumping around the place. The people in the area were only able to see blurs as they can't see what was going on at the moment. They have been watching the fight with open mouths as they didn't expect that a young boy would play 2 saints like a fiddle. And Grafia was smiling as she watched Yuya fighting with Hattie, who was looking at the scene attentively while wagging its tail. That is what you get for attacking Master. I need to get stronger quickly so that people like them don't bother Master. Grafia thought as she looked at the fight. She could barely follow what was going on. So she made a resolution to become stronger to help her master in dealing with these types of problems. Damn it, why isn't my attack connecting? The Kicking Saint thought as he kicked towards Yuya's head, which was easily dodged. Why? Why can't I get married? What have I done to deserve this? I have the perfect candidate in front of me, but I can't do anything. Iris was getting angrier by the second as the perfect candidate for her was standing in front of her, but she can't do anything. She was swinging her sword with more power and speed than ever before. Clank asterisk, clank asterisk, clank asterisk, clank asterisk, clank asterisk. But Yuya knocked all of her attacks down with his spear effortlessly. You can do whatever you want. Have you ever listened to me? The voice said in a salty tone. Are you still holding a grudge over that? Yuya asked the voice. Humph, the voice didn't answer back. Then both Kicking Saint and Iris stopped along with Yuya. Say, what is this evil you are talking about? Yuya asked as he looked at both of them. I see no point in answering a question of an evil dot, the rabbit said as he caught his breath. Yuya didn't say anything and looked at Iris, who was looking at him. Why is he asking this? Is it possible that? Iris suddenly gasped. Are you not an evil? Iris asked as she had some hope in her eyes. I don't even know what an evil is, Yuya said. Evil is the amalgamation of every living creature's negative emotions. They are born from the negative emotions of living creatures and become stronger the more negative emotions they feed on, Iris said. Then you are looking for the wrong person, as I am not the evil you speak of, Yuya said as he looked at them, and the fire in Iris's eyes burned brightly. Don't talk nonsense, your aura is denser than any evil I have ever seen, It is full of wrath and hatred. There is no way that you aren't an evil dot. The rabbit said as he got ready to attack again. Stop kicking Saint, he might not be the one who we think he is, Iris said as she tried to convince the rabbit. Look, Sword Saint, I know that you are desperate for a partner, but this is way beyond that already, Rabbit said as he looked at Iris. And veins appeared on Iris's forehead as her eyebrows twitched uncontrollably. What do you know about this, Hal? You don't have to worry about marrying, so, of course, you don't know the difficulties of women who are nearing the end of the marriageable age. Bastard, how dare you? What color is your blood? Iris went off as she ranted, and everyone was looking at this in disbelief. Is that the strongest holy of this era? This was what everyone was thinking. The rabbit didn't know what to say as he looked at his fellow saint. He wasn't able to find the words to say. As Iris was ranting, an aura of wrath and hatred like that guy over there? Yuya suddenly pointed to the right, causing both the saint to look over in the direction, but they didn't see anything. Are you trying to trick us? Rabbit said in a threatening tone. Are you really saints of this world? Pierce, Yuya said in his usual tone as he threw his spear towards where he pointed before after casting a spell on the spear in demonic script. The spear destroyed everything in its way as rocks flew in all directions. The spear flew, leaving a red trail behind it, and clank asterisk, bang asterisk, splash asterisk. A sound of metal colliding was heard. What? Since when? Both the rabbit and Iris were shocked as they looked at the person who had a broken shield in his hand with a hole on his right shoulder which was bleeding as his muscles wiggled like worms trying to regenerate. IW was F found out. A nervous-looking middle-aged man looked at everyone present. Yuya caught the spear that came back to him as he looked at the middle-aged man. So that is what an evil is. Yuya thought as he felt the nauseating aura that was emanated from the middle-aged man. Yes, I don't know how can they mistake you for that. It might be a bit similar but completely different. I guess they were able to sense it because you aren't strong enough to suppress it right now. The voice inside Yuya's head said. That is true, I have used runes to seal it, but it is still leaking out. Yuya answered back as he looked at the dumbfounded saints who were looking at the nervous middle-aged man. What do I do and now? The man was mumbling as he stuttered. That is. The kicking saint was lost for words as he looked at the man, and Iris moved. Single sword flash. Iris slashed at the man's head, but he moved and the slash cut off his arm. AR doppelganger. The man screamed as he ran away miserably while shouting, and three shadows appeared and moved in direction of Iris, the kicking saint, and Yuya, and they changed shapes. The one in front of Iris turned into a woman who in her late 60s with blonde hair and blue eyes with a sword in her hand. Teacher. Iris's eyes shook as she looked at her teacher who took a stance and attacked her. Iris was shocked as she looked at her teacher who was attacking her. Who is your teacher? You are nothing but a failure. A disgrace to the title of Sword Saint. The woman said as she attacked faster, and Iris wasn't able to say anything as she blocked the attacks. Teacher won't say these things to me. No, she wouldn't. Iris thought as she stopped the attacks. How? The kicking saint's voice cracked as he looked at the small cute girl with brown hair and red eyes. Usagi, where did you go? I was looking for you all over the place, the girl said as she smiled. No, it can't be her, she died. The kicking saint thought as he hesitated to attack the person who saved him when he was just a normal kick rabbit. But the person was killed by a monster wave later. The kicking saint tried to move, but his body wouldn't. He wasn't able to bring himself to attack her. I in despair as yul look at f face o of your be beloved, the man said as he tried to heal his injuries. What is it? You still can't find a man a failure, I say, uar dash. The former sword saint said. What do you know about how hard I tried? Iris moved as she shouted and cut the former sword saint into two, and the shadow dissipated. The kicking saint has also finished the one in front of him. Iris looked towards Yuya and her eyes widened as she looked at the person in front of him as she clenched her jaw. Who is that? I is she masters. Graphia stuttered as she looked at the person in front of Yuya. And she felt Yuya's emotions, which were like a calm lake, had ripples appearing in it. TCH, he just had to do it. The voice in Yuya's head said while clicking its tongue. An extremely beautiful woman, with long purple hair and red eyes, and wearing a full body outfit that highlights her curvaceous body, with metallic shoulder pads while carrying two ominous-looking red spears in her hands. The woman looked at Yuya with cold eyes as she ran toward him. You were never able to keep a promise you've made. I died because of you. I should have never saved you at that time, the woman shouted as she moved her spear to thrust at Yuya's heart. Chapter 38 When Grafia saw that Yuya wasn't moving, she panicked and ran toward him to help because the woman was about to attack him. Yuya saw the familiar face in front of him attacking him once again. Just when the spear was about to reach Yuya, he thrust his spear forward, stabbing the woman in front of him in her chest as his eyes were empty and lifeless. He didn't even hesitate. Everyone was shocked at the ruthlessness of Yuya. Fighting someone you love is the hardest thing to do for anyone, as they can't bring themselves to kill the ones they love. Even the two saints faltered there for a moment. But Yuya didn't. He killed the person who was supposed to be the person he loved the most without any hesitation. Yuya's empty eyes looked at the middle-aged man who was running towards the forest. EHHPPPP. The man screamed as he saw those empty eyes looking back at him. Yuya's blue eyes shined as his pupils had a vertical slit in them as blood came out of his eyes. ARGH, what H happened? What dash? The middle-aged man fell and he wasn't able to move his legs and looked down to see his legs were turned to stone and they broke off. The man screamed as he tried to crawl away from this place. I have T to G get O out O of T this B place. T the T teleportation D device W will T take S some T time, the man thought as he tried to run away from here. Hey bastard, your body isn't strong enough for you to use that power. Do you have a death wish? The voice in Yuya's head shouted. Yuya lifted his spear and threw it at the man with all of his strength. And the spear left a dark red trail behind it, and appeared in front of the man who summoned more shadows who held many huge shields, and the spear collided with the shields. Bang asterisk. Smash asterisk. Many shields broke and the man wasn't hurt by the spear, but the shadows that held the shields were killed. Yuya caught the spear and stored it in his item box and looked at the man, then he extended his right hand in front of him and gripped on empty air. Hey, are you an idiot? Don't summon that spear. Your body isn't strong enough to take the low. Hey, listen to me, you bastard. The voice in Yuya's head shouted, but Yuya didn't listen to it. And a dark red ominous looking spear appeared in Yuya's hand. It looked like the spear the women from before held, but this one has had a much more dangerous aura around it. He is trying to run away, as if I'll let him get away. Yuya thought as he pulled back his hand that held the spear. The spear looked like it has been drenched in fresh blood, with many ancient-looking writings shined ominously along the full length of the spear from the tail to the spear tip. And the air tensed up as everyone present felt their hair stand on end as they sweated heavily when they saw that spear. Yuya didn't pay any attention to any of this as he threw the spear at the man. It was like time has stopped as everyone saw the spear move, leaving a red streak and tearing the air apart as it made its way towards his target. The spear overturned the land and trees in its way, leaving a deep gouge on the ground as it made its way to the man. And no, doppelganger. The man summoned a shield to protect himself as 10 shadows appeared and did the same to protect the man as the man was preparing a spell to get away from here. Banon asterisk. The red spear hit the first shield and tore it apart like paper, and then the second, then the third, and tore everything that was standing in the way of its target. And no. The middle-aged man cried out as the spear hit him and tore him into pieces and moved inside the forest, leaving a deep rift and overturned trees as the forest was half destroyed. Ha asterisk, ha asterisk, ha asterisk. Yuya was breathing heavily as his eyes felt blurry with blood coming out of them, and his right hand was bleeding as it limped. He saw that the man was killed, and his body fell forward as he lost the strength in his body with all of his magic power sapped. And Master Grafia ran towards him, but someone was faster than her. TCH, why don't you listen to me for once? A beautiful woman with long purple hair that reached her ankles and golden eyes with snake-like pupils, and a voluptuous figure caught Yuya in her hands, hugging him as she clicked her tongue in annoyance while looking at Yuya, who passed out. She looked at him with anger and healed his wounds. Woof! Woof! Hattie growled as she looked at the woman. Who are you? Get away from my master! Grafia said while glaring at the woman with dangerous eyes as she sent many ice pillars towards the woman, and the temperature of the surrounding dropped steeply. The woman's golden eyes shined ominously, and the ice pillars were turned into stone. Bang asterisk, thud asterisk. And then broke into small pieces as it fell on the ground, shocking everyone present. Both Iris and Kicking Saint got in their stance as Grafia was about to use higher tier magic, but... Calm down, maid, I won't do anything to your master. I know you care about him, but there is no need to get so worked up over this, the woman said as she waved her hand with an amiable smile. Her friendly attitude was in contrast to her power, and Grafia looked at her as she stopped. She is not lying. Does she really know Master? Grafia thought as she stopped her magic spell. Then who are you? And what is your relationship with Master? Grafia asked, stressing the second question. I'm his. The women looked at Yia and thought for a second. Friend, she said with a smile. Cool, more competitors, Iris thought as she jumped around furiously in her mind. After everyone calmed down, the woman looked at the saints. We will be going back now. So tell the humans over there that we will visit sometime in the future, as he isn't in a condition to go anywhere, she said in a ladylike behavior, and turned towards Grafia, who picked up Hattie, then walked towards her as a magic circle appeared beneath them. Then we will be going, the woman said as she vanished with Grafia and Yuya in her hands. The saints were shocked as they saw this. Teleportation. Iris was stumped along with the kicking saint. On Earth. Inside Yuya's bedroom, the purple-haired woman laid Yuya down on the bed and looked at Grafia, who was looking at her with wary eyes. Don't worry, I won't take him away, the woman said with a giggle. What are you talking about? Grafia stuttered as she looked at the woman. Well, whatever. Do you have any alcohol in the house? I'm sure there should be, the woman said, and Grafia nodded as they walked out of the room, but the woman took one last look at Yuya and sighed while walking out of the room. Why do you have to be like this every time? Do you think no one worries about you? She shook her head as she walked out. Grafia was looking at the woman while she was lost in her thoughts. Who was that woman that appeared in front of Master? And who is this? I have so many questions, Grafia thought. The woman lifted her head to see Grafia looking at her and smiled. Let's go, I'll tell you the things you are curious about, she said in her sensuous voice. How did you know? Grafia asked while walking towards the kitchen as she had a curious expression on her face. I just know. Can you get me a glass of wine? The woman answered as she sat down at the table and waited for what she asked for. Grafia nodded as she poured her a glass of wine that Yia ordered before. The woman took a sip as she flashed a satisfied smile. Ash knows the type of wine I like perfectly, the woman said as she stirred the wine glass. Ash? Grafia asked as she wasn't sure who the woman was talking about. Oh, I call Yuya Ash, so don't mind it. Didn't you want to ask me some questions? The woman said. Yes, then who was the woman that showed up when Master was supposed to fight his beloved? Grafia asked as she looked a bit torn when she thought that her master had someone he loved. That woman, huh? You sure are nosy for a maid, the woman said as she sipped her wine. Just answer me, Grafia said as she blushed a bit. Her name is Scathach, Queen of the Land of Shadows, and also your master's lover-cum-teacher, and also not his lover-cum-teacher at the same time, the woman said. Wait, Scathach as in the Witch of Dun Scaith? How can she be and not be master's lover at the same time? Grafia asked as her eyes twitched. Don't ask that to me, ask him when he wakes up. Their relationship might not be confirmed, but they did care for each other a lot, the woman said as her eyes had a bit of sadness. Where is she now? Grafia asked as she already guessed the answer but still wanted to confirm it. Well, that will be a long story if you really want to listen, the woman said as she looked at Grafia, who nodded and was about to sit, but get me more wine, the woman said with a smile, and Grafia nodded. After Grafia refilled her wine and the woman was about to tell her what happened to Scathach. Before we start, what is your name? Grafia asked as she forgot to ask her name. Oh, you just remembered, my name is... Chapter 39, Loki. Flashback. In the heavy snowfall, leaving footprints on the snow that has been piled up, a man ran towards his destination in hurry with anxiousness and fear in his heart, as he wished for what he had heard to be false. Don't worry, they won't attack her unless they are ready for a huge loss. Even if they march with a huge army, they should be ready for losing at least half of it before they can even reach her. A voice in the man's head said, That is right, it isn't logical to attack her on a whim, unless their gains outweigh their losses, the man said as he quickened his pace running towards the location, and the voice in his head didn't answer back. Shortly after that, he reached his destination, and all he saw was destruction as 3 massive wolves and many humanoid figures destroyed everything as they ran amok the snowy landscape that was painted with fire and bodies all over the place. Oh, you finally came, but I am afraid it is a bit too late. The man turned towards the voice to see a female with dark black hair and black eyes with a voluptuous figure wearing a fitting black dress with a low neck showing her cleavage, and there was a slit on the left side of her dress showing off her long legs. She also had a black fur coat draped over her shoulders, and she wore a golden helmet that covered her forehead, and the side of her face on her with 2 horns on it on the forehead. She smiled while looking at the man. "What do you mean by late?" the man said as his mind went blank and he looked around in hope of finding the figure he wanted to see, but she isn't here. She has been taken to Asgard. Do you want to know why? The woman said with an amused look on her face. What did you do to her, Loki? The man growled at the person in front of him. What do you think, lowly human? We gods were having so much fun until you 3 decided to kick up a fuss. And you, especially a lowly human whose only worth was being a pawn that is to be discarded, and here you are trying to go against the gods just because you got the support of these 2 bitches. You 3 have been a thorn in our side for the longest time. So I just removed 1 thorn and now it is time the other 2. Loki smiled as she said while smiling at the man. The man didn't look at her and ignored her to search for the person he came for, but no matter how much he searched he couldn't find her. Loki giggled at the man as she sat down on the chair and drank some tea from a cup. What are you done searching for her already? I didn't even finish my tea, Loki said as she stood up from the chair she was sitting on. Did you think I lied to you? She is in Asgard at the moment. From this moment on, the land of the shadows is no more. And you 2 will also cease to exist soon as well, Loki said as she spread her hands as if hugging the world and laughed while looking at the sky. The man's mind went blank when he heard those words and the anger boiled in every inch of his being. Why are you so angry? Didn't that woman get what she wanted? Death, wasn't that what she wanted so dearly? Wasn't that why she trained you? Loki said as she looked at the man and giggled. The man clenched his hands and his nails dug into his flesh, and the blood seeped from his palm and fell on the white snow. The black swirl in his heart moved fiercely as he looked at Loki. Control yourself, Ash. She is just trying to get a reaction from you. You shouldn't forget who she is. Even though she isn't suited for combat, she can be deadly in her own right, the voice in man's head said, calming him down. Though it is a shame that I couldn't taste her before I killed her, she really deserves her title, God's Slayer. I can give her that, as that woman stepped into the realm of gods while only being human herself, Loki said as her eyes glinted dangerously. The swirl in the man's heart grew by the second when he heard Loki say those words. She knows how to press someone's buttons perfectly, the feminine voice in the man's head said, but the man didn't say anything. It is pity that I am a woman now. If only father didn't do that to me, I would have loved having my time with her. Who doesn't like breaking the spirit of a strong woman? The Greek gods were even bidding for her. Do you know, in the end Poseidon won. They sure know how to enjoy their life, but it is a pity that she died. I mean, she is the queen of the land of shadows, Skathack. It cost us a lot just to kill her, not to mention catching her alive, Loki said as the grin on her face became deeper and crazier. The man lifted his head and his blue eyes had snake-like pupils as he gazed at Loki. The area around them turned to stone, but nothing happened to Loki. She came here with Odin's protection to specifically counter me, the feminine voice in the man's head said. Of course, nothing will happen. I came prepared, you to know. I really need to ask father to make me a man again so that I can my way with the new Skathack. I can't wait to see her expression when those lustful gods have their way with her, Loki said as she licked her lips with a red face as he leaned forward while gasping and breathing heavily. Then she looked up and saw a red spear heading straight to her face. Clank ****. But the spear was stopped by a huge wolf with icy blue fur as it declared its presence. Whoa, you finally lost it, huh, Ashley Kingheart? Let's see what the last student and lover Skathack can do, shall we? Loki said as she smiled crazily. Splash ***. Ashley's spear dug into the wolf's paw and blood gushed out of it. And the wolf screamed in pain. Yes, this is what I want. Ashley, don't disappoint me. I'll have my fun with you later as I defile you in front of Skathack as she is being defiled. Ha 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 ha. Loki laughed as she hugged her body and squirmed with a flushed face. This bitch has gone crazy, a feminine voice rang out in Ashley's head. Ashley didn't say anything as he looked at the 3 wolves that had gathered together. 2 small ones that were black and white. They were as big as 10-story building, and they drooled from their mouths as they showed their hideous fangs, their names being Hattie and Skull. And the third one had icy blue fur with a body that was double the size of the smaller ones. His name is Fenrir. He is also Loki's son with the giantess Angerboda. ****. Something fell from the sky and landed beside Loki, kicking up snow and dust. When it all settled down, a figure was seen. Looks like I have another toy to play with. The man with blonde hair and blue eyes, wearing luxurious clothes revealing his upper body, said with a blank face. He carried a trident with a blue shaft and golden spearhead with many decorations running along the shaft. He propped the trident on the ground as he looked towards Ashley. No, it would be proper to say that he was looking in Ashley's general direction and wasn't even meeting his eyes, like he didn't consider him a threat at all. "Looks like I made it in time." A feminine voice sounded, and a beautiful woman who had back-length black hair and blue eyes with a voluptuous figure that was clad in silver armor. She held a spear in her right hand and a shield that had the head of a woman that had snakes in the place of her hair. "Oh, isn't this great? We have a joker, a wannabe cool guy, and an animal lover. All we need is a pervert and the team will be complete," the voice in Ashley's head said as the three gods appeared in front of him. "Not at all, Athena, we can still have our fun with him. Although it is a pity that Ares, Dionysus, and Artemis died," Loki said as faked a tear, causing Athena to grimace as their faction lost 3 important fighters. "Don't be like that, we lost Vale and Freyr as well," Loki said as she smiled. "The weak died, that is all," Poseidon said as he looked at Ashley without being bothered by their loss. "Looks like someone is salty because he lost in spearmanship for the first time," Loki said, and Poseidon looked at her with murderous eyes and Loki only grinned widely. "Let's focus on the person in front of us. My shield needs an upgrade," Athena said as she smirked while looking down at Ashley. "What an arrogant brat, these idiots are way over their heads. But this will be a tough fight for you, Ash, unless you borrow my power," the voice in Ashley's head said. "It is all right. I don't need to pay that price for them. The only one I need to be wary about here is Poseidon," Ashley said as he looked at the lineup in front of him. "Yes, that is right. You should finish it in about 15 to 20 minutes, the voice answered back. "That should suffice," Ashley said back, causing the voice to giggle in amusement, as this was the only human who had the guts to say that in front of gods. Chapter 40. You wish for the cursed crimson spear? You better not lose or you will drag my name through the mud, my contractor, the voice said in a haughty tone that was filled with arrogance, and it was rightfully so, as the beings who could fight her can be counted on one hand. Although the voice was amused, she still warned Ashley. "Let's have fun now, shall we?" Loki said as she licked her lips with lust in her eyes. Poseidon lunged straight in with his trident and thrust it straight towards Ashley's head. And Ashley looked at this with 2 red spears in his hands, which were shining ominously as his body shone with different runes to increase his power, speed, endurance, vision, and regeneration. Clank asterisk. Ashley parried the trident with the spear in his left hand as the sound of the metal colliding rung in the surroundings, and the snow was blown away by the power behind that attack. Ashley thrust the spear in his right hand towards Poseidon, who moved his head back to dodge the attack, but the attack took off some of his bangs. Poseidon looked Ashley in the eye for the first time as he moved toward Ashley. Loki controlled the wolves to attack as Athena was looking for an opening to jump in. "Let's see how long you can last, human. If you entertain us, maybe I'll tell you about our plan," Loki said as she smiled creepily. "I don't have time for your games," Ashley said as he moved and the fight between the man and gods began. Poseidon moved his trident, thrusting at Ashley as he left behind after images, and it looked like several tridents were attacking at the same time. Clank asterisk, clank asterisk, clank asterisk, clank asterisk, clank asterisk. But Ashley matched him and even pressured Poseidon as small wounds started appearing on him, but Poseidon smiled the more he fought. Ashley thrust his spear again in the gap between the attacks and Poseidon was forced back again, but then he jumped up in the sky and thrust his trident down towards Ashley. Boom asterisk, 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 boom asterisk. His attack fell on Ashley and the ground beside him like rain from the sky. The jabs were fast and relentless as Poseidon moved faster and attacked Ashley, who was parrying his attacks or dodging them. The ground was upturned as the snow and dust kicked up, but the attacks didn't stop. "I have to finish this quickly. A drawn-out fight is going to put me at a disadvantage," Ashley thought as he made his way closer to Poseidon while dodging his attacks and attacked him with his spear, thrusting it towards his chest. Clank asterisk. Poseidon used his trident to stop the attack, but he was pushed back by the force of the attack and then looked at the human in front of him. "Don't underestimate him. He was taught by Scathach and is her best student. Even Siyu Chulin didn't compare to him. So if you look down on him, you'll be in a worse condition than when you faced Scathach," Loki said with a smile. "Is he the one that bitch was talking about?" Athena asked as she licked her lips. "Yep, he is the one. Who else do you think can walk straight into the land of shadows?" Loki answered as she commanded her wolves. The wolves joined the fray as well, attacking in between gaps and running around to find opportunities to attack. Ashley blocked the trident that was coming to his chest and swung the second spear in a wide arc, hitting Poseidon in his flank. Gah! Poseidon coughed blood as he was launched away like a cannonball. Boom! He broke through a few mountains before he could stabilize himself. While Ashley dodged the claws that were aiming for his back and turned around, swinging his spear, hitting Skull in its jaws, breaking it, and stunning the young wolf, who was blown away by the impact. Ashley then moved towards it to finish it off, but awoke! Hattie jumped up from the shadows as he came towards Ashley, trying to swallow him. Ashley threw the spear in his right hand, leaving a red trail behind into the open mouth of Hattie. Splash! Awoke! And the spear pierced through Hattie's head, destroying half of its head. Hattie died as it screamed miserably, and the spear was moving towards Skull, but clang! Awoke! It was knocked down by the Fenrir, who roared again and moved towards Ashley and attacked him with its claws to cut him apart, and his jagged teeth trying to bite him. But Ashley dodged all of this and reached near Fenrir. He was about to stab the wolf in his head but jumped back. Swish! An attack passed by the place where Ashley was. He looked at the person who attacked to see Athena standing there with Poseidon. Both were in their combat stance as they looked at him. Poseidon was looking at him with a grin, and Athena was looking at him like looking at a piece of meat. Have all the goddess gone bats hit crazy with lust or what? Ashley said in his mind. Can you blame them? You should look in a mirror once or twice. But I do admit the Greek gods are too lustful, and they can only think from their lower bodies. Although Athena was supposed to be a virgin goddess, she had a fling with Hercules after all that. The voice asked back. This isn't about me. I am sure she is eyeing you. Ashley said back. Ofufu, that might be part of it. But that is just a daydream. The voice giggled as it answered, not nervous in the slightest. Then both Athena and Poseidon moved together and unleashed many thrusts and slashes at Ashley, who was parrying them. Clank! Boom! 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 The attacks destroyed the surroundings and left deep craters on the ground, as some attacks left small wounds on Ashley. But Ashley didn't pay them any attention as he continued to parry and attack both of them with his spears as they moved all over the place, destroying the ground as rocks flew all over the place with dust clouds kicking up. Athena thrust her spear at Ashley's head, who swung his spear upwards in a vertical swing, knocking the trajectory of Athena's spear upwards. After Ashley knocked Athena's spear up, she lost her footing because of the power of his swing. He used his second spear to stab at Athena's chest where her core was, but it was blocked by the shield, and the woman's head on the shield screeched as its eyes glowed with a green light. Clank! Screech! The ground where Ashley was standing on was turned to stone, but it didn't affect Ashley himself, who swung his spear hitting Athena, but she wasn't injured as a thin film of golden light surrounded her, but cracks started appearing on the film. Then it finally broke into pieces and Athena was sent flying and rolled on the ground after she broke through some peaks on the way. Did she really think she can turn someone I am supporting into stone? Seriously, these brats have lost their minds. The voice in Ashley's head scoffed as Athena stood up with her hair disheveled and dirt on her face and armor. She gritted her teeth as she felt humiliated. Poseidon attacked with his trident on Ashley's open back, but he blocked his attack and used the second spear to slash at the hand that was holding the spear. Spurt! Ashley lopped of Poseidon's arm and blood splattered everywhere, but Poseidon was looking at this without much change in his expression as he kicked Ashley, who blocked it with the shaft of his spear but still launched in the air because of the force of the attack as he stabilized himself in the air. You lowly human, show me what that crimson spear of yours can do in front of me. Holy smite! Athena shouted as she was getting ready to throw her spear that was clad in brilliant golden light towards Ashley, who was still in air. You wish for the cursed crimson spear? Gebald, barbed spear that pierces with death. Ashley said as he unleashed the true name of the spear and threw the spear with a massive dark red trail behind it, and went straight towards Athena, who threw her spear leaving a golden trail behind. As the spear left Ashley's hand, he used rune magecraft and started healing the damage done to his arm. Although the damage was little, he has a habit healing it just after he throws the spear. As the two spears inched towards each other, it was like the world was moving in slow motion and the two spearheads collided.
Akira here, this is the end of part 2. If you enjoyed the story, we would appreciate it if you liked the video. Also, please support the original author for this amazing work. I have put their Patreon and the web novel link in the description. Thank you and have a great day.
カウンセリングなんてやるだけ無駄。夫婦の危機を救えるのはミスター・スタッフだけ。
El 80% de los accidentes aéreos provocan la muerte. Respete el límite de velocidad. No seas víctima de la moda. Por tu seguridad, lleva un chaleco de aramilla.